I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was a good one. We were all together in that. All right. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Gray.
Present.
Trustee Holtz. Present. Trustee Rogers. Present. Trustee Suisse. Present. Trustee Casino.
Present.
Trustee Varian.
Present.
Mayor Eagle.
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to take number 7 about the keeping of farm animals and put that after 5 in case people are just interested in hearing about that. So it would be 5 and then 7 and then 6.
All right. I need. So that's a motion. Right. So, I'll second that. Right. So, trustees, please. Trustee Gray, any discussion on it? Okay, so we're going to be moving 7 to 5. 7 to 6. 7 to 6. Whatever you want to move.
Well, it'll come in after 5.
After 5. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Next would be recognition for Alex Warchek, Eagle Scout Award recipient. Tonight we will be recognizing the achievement of Eagle Scout Alex Warchek. Alex, if you could please step up to the podium and tell the board about your project and what it means to be an Eagle Scout.
Hello, my name is Alex Borchek, and I'm a Boy Scout of Troop 318. Thank you for taking the time to honor my accomplishment of earning the rank of Eagle. I wouldn't be standing here today without the help of many members of the community. To become an Eagle Scout, I needed to complete a certain project. I supported a nonprofit organization called Comfort for Kids, and by collecting new stuffed animals. Comfort for Kids provides stuffed animals to children in the hospital that may be undergoing treatment or surgery. It was founded by Callie Trupak in 2013. Her mission is to make a child's stay in a hospital just a little bit less scary. Many organizations, including Homer Township Library, supported my drive of collecting the stuffed animals. We are able to deliver 1,818 stuffed animals to children of John H. Stroger Jr. Junior Hospital of Cook County. This project was important to me because I personally see the comfort these animals bring to children. My brother went through many surgeries as a baby and a young boy, and I saw how special these animals were to him. I wanted to provide that comfort to more children. I was overwhelmed by the generosity of the community and all of the smiles that were created by their donations. Through this process, many skills were developed, including leadership, communication, problem solving, organization, and determination. I plan to use these skills to help me through high school and beyond. Thank you.
All right, Alex, this is just a certificate for outstanding achievement. That's for you. That's for you. It's great what you're doing. Somebody else can. You have a great day. Next, is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 22nd, 2019 Village Board meeting?
I so move.
Trustee Suisse.
Second.
Trustee Holtz. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mayor, I'm going to abstain for that meeting.
Brian abstains. abstained, but everyone else is for it. Okay, motion carries. Second, is there a motion to approve the minutes of June 5th, 2019 special village board meeting?
So moved.
Trustee Gray,
Second.
is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Reports and communications from mayor and other officers. This past weekend, the village hosted our annual Homer Fest, and it was truly an amazing event. I feel it is important to take a moment to recognize efforts that go into this fest. The Fest Committee, all of whom are volunteers, meet all year long and plan and organize this for our community. Many of the Fest Committee members use personal time off from work during the fest so they can focus solely on this event. The staff, residents, the Homer Township Road District, the Homer Township Fire District, the Northwest Fire District, the Will County Sheriff's Department, and the Will County Sheriff's Auxiliary, and your elected officials have all donated hundreds of hours at the fest coordinating tickets, traffic, information booth, security, and cleanup. The list is endless, and I am so truly appreciative of all of them. We've also had Carol Kaepernick, who's no longer on that committee, but did a great job with the band. And Mr. DeVivo with the fireworks. I still think it's the best I've ever seen. I'm not old, but I'm not young anymore. But he did a very good job, and we thank all the volunteers that did step up to the plate to help. 4th of July, Village Hall will be closed on Thursday, July 4th, in observance of Independence Day. We hope that you and your family have a happy and safe 4th of July. Normal business hours will resume on Friday, July 5th. We'll go to Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mayor. No report tonight.
Trustee Kuzmina.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Trustee Rogers.
First, I just wanted to reiterate what Mayor said relative to the fest. The committee did an amazing job. It always blows me away the amount of hours and time that you all put in there. So I really do appreciate it. When I would be leaving at night, you guys were just starting to clean up. And I know I was there for long hours as well. So I really, really do appreciate that, and the community appreciates all that you've done too. Reporting on behalf of the Parks Committee, the second annual Chalk It Up event will be August 3rd from 9 to 1 at Stonebridge Park. It is a free event, sidewalk drawing contest. It's open to all ages, various age range prizes and different things like that. We'll have popcorn again, thanks to Konos, who's always generous in donating their truck of popcorn, snow cones, music. This year we're going to actually have bag games out there for the people who are waiting for their kids to finish, have something to do when they're waiting. So we'll look forward to that. And Trustee Kuzmina will be heading that up as a co-chair of the Parks Committee. The PFC Michael C. Oliveri Memorial American Legion Post 211 will be hosting its first fishing contest at Marion Village. Marion Village has some great fish out there that's only been accessible to residents and their guests. And they're going to host a fishing contest on July 28th from 9 to 12 for kids who are 12 and under, but they must be with a parent. So you have to bring your parent with you, and they're supposed to have different kind of contests going on. I'm sure they'll have more information forthcoming relative to that. And that's all I have.
Catch and release.
I'm assuming catch and release.
No, keep it. 14 inches and under, they'll keep. 14 inches and over, they'll put back.
Okay. Trustee Barron.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Holt.
No report.
Thank you. Trustee Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to have a long report because I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Reporting on behalf of the Homer Community Festival. It's my pleasure to report that 2019 Homer Fest was a success. The weather challenged us, but we put our creative minds together and we rose to the task. The first ever Homerfest at Heritage Park was 2 years in the planning, and we learned a lot in the process. There are many thanks to be handed out, and one of the first is a great thank you to the entire board for having faith in our committee to bring about this event. Without the support of the mayor and the board, we could not have done this. I'd also like to thank all the residents who came out and braved the mud. They were undeterred and delighted with the new site, and they look forward to seeing Homerfest get better and better in the coming years. Thank you to all the volunteers. They are truly the backbone of our event. They cleaned and managed and coordinated and manned posts. Some were students earning service hours, some were staff or retired officials. Some were just there to help out, but none of them lacked for enthusiasm or true Homer spirit. Our fireworks display has always been the highlight of Fest Week, and this year it did not disappoint. I've heard from dozens telling me this year's fireworks is the best ever. So hats off to Road Commissioner Mike DeVito for another great display. Thank you to all of our food vendors, Cool Creations Ice Cream, Canute's Pizza, Big Joe's Backyard Barbecue, Pelican Harry's, Davidson's, and Ben's Soft Pretzels. Special thanks to Pelican Harry's for providing food for the bands, and Canute's Pizza for the many pizzas they shared with all the committee and the volunteers. And thank you to Marcia DeVivo and the volunteers for taking such good care of us at our very own Homer Canteen in the community room that we had set up. Thank you to All Around Amusement for bringing the carnival to our village. All Around puts on a great show, and the kids and families of the village love the new layout on hard pavement. And thank you to all the bands for their great performances. Thank you to our committee co-chair, Carlo Caprio, our members Mike DeVivo, Chris Locasius, Todd Fontera, Ed Callis, Debbie Stevens, Sue Steinman, Sarah Rudnick, and Tony Dravick, and supporters Dave Ricker, Jim Howley, Linda Laskowski, Paul McGarry, and John Robinson for their tireless effort and dedication. Thank you to all the staff and supporters at Village Hall, especially Sue Steinman, who as Best Committee liaison has worked harder than anyone keeping all the details together. Thank you to our new village manager, Carrie Friday. Although Carrie's not been here but just a short time, she truly understands the Homer spirit. Thank you to Facilities Manager John Robinson and his entire staff in the Parks Department and his Homer Glen EMA team. Thank you to the Will County Sheriff Homer Glen Detail, the Will County Sheriff Auxiliary, the staff of the Homer Township Road District, the entire staff of the Village of Homer Glen, the chiefs and crews of the Homer Township Fire District and the Northwest Homer Fire District. Our Special Needs Day on Friday was the biggest turnout yet. The kids and families enjoyed this special time to enjoy the carnival and the fest grounds on their own terms, and the delight showed in their faces. Thank you to our Beer Tent volunteer organizations, Pudding Grove PTO, Homer Glen Junior Women's Club, Operation Care Package, and the Knights of Columbus Council 15022. And thank you to all our sponsors. It shows their commitment to our village and the community when they support our efforts. Thank you to All Around Amusement, Myers, Kenwood Liquors, Lakeshore Beverage, BI Rental, Momentum Dance Studio, The Print Exchange, Busey Bank, Booth Orthodontics, Homer Township Firefighters Local 4223, Xfinity, Enbridge, Dr. Mary Ellen Hoy, Homewood Disposal, Total Flooring, Everest Academy, Dan Kenny Group, GT Mechanical, Artistic Dentistry, M&D Farms, H&R Green, Pump and Grind Auto Body, Bobby and his Child Care, Homer Tree Care, the Montessori School of Vermont, and Will Cook Ace Harbor. Thank you to the Homer Township Road District, Homer Township Library, and the Homer Township Board for allowing us to access their property for parking and logistics. It shows the true spirit of cooperation when we come together to serve our residents. Congratulations also to the Township Board and Mary Pat DeGrassi for coordinating the annual parade. It's a separate event from Homerfest, but just as enjoyable. We had fun seeing all the kids and families as we walked and handed out our backpacks. Homerfest 2019 was a great success, but not without its challenges. We look forward to starting planning for the 2020 event, and we will do everything we can to continue to improve this cherished village event. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Village Clerk.
I'd like to thank Keith for all your work that you did for the fest. It was a great turnout and couldn't have been done without you, so thank you. Other than that, I have nothing.
Thank you. Village Attorney.
No report, Your Honor.
Public Safety Officials.
Your Honor, we approach that.
Yes.
Same message.
All right, once again, Lieutenant Hollins and myself would like to thank the village for letting us participate in Homerfest and everything. It was, we constantly talk about how great it is, the working relationship that we have with everybody, and we're just honored to be here and be part of it, so thank you very much.
Yeah, everything's successful because of the working relationships that we've established. You know, working together arm in arm, that's the only way it gets done, so thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Thank you, guys. Administrative Analyst.
Thank you, Mayor. At today's construction meeting for the Active Core project, we had a representative from Beverly Paving, the subcontractor that will be doing the asphalt paving, and also a representative from Geocon that does the testing for moisture in the ground to make sure that we can pave. So the plan is that tomorrow Beverly Asphalt will be here to do a proof roll and examine the moisture and hopefully get down to binder level to start paving tomorrow.
Sounds great. Thank you. Village Manager.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to say again, it was truly amazing to be part of the Homer Fest this past weekend. This community has so much to be proud of. I've been involved in a lot of festivals in my career, but nothing like this. So kudos to everyone. Really, it was amazing. A couple other things. We are still recruiting for our planning commission commissioner vacancy. We've received a couple of resumes. If any of our residents are interested in serving on the planning commission, they can submit their resumes to me by this Friday. That'd be appreciated when we send out some interviews. We did kick off our comprehensive plan open house tonight from 5 to 7 in the community room before the board meeting. And we'll be doing some additional public events throughout the course of the project. But I just want to remind our residents and our businesses that they want more information on this important project, they can go to its own very special website page, which is myhomerglen.org, to submit their input or comments about our comprehensive plan. And then tomorrow morning, we will have, the mayor will have a new mayor blog article that will be published on our website. And I encourage everyone to go on our website to take a look at that. That's actually the topic for June is the feasibility study for the sports complex. You have a copy of that blog before you. And each month we'll put a new article out there.
Thank you. Sorry. Sidebar. Next, we're going to go into the consent agenda. All matters. Public comment. Okay. We'll start out with Victoria Haley.
I'm not good at public speaking, so I'm sorry. And I wish I had something better to talk about, like the Homer Fest, but it sounds fantastic. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it this year. But I'm here to talk about my septic field being flooded by my neighbor. I went back in my notes, and it was a year ago in May that we met with you, Mayor, and Joe about it. And that's when we put the stop work order in. To back up a little bit, about 6 months, maybe 8 before we met with you, Mr. Martin was still in office, and my neighbor started digging, and he started digging along our property line. And when we spoke to him, he said that he was putting in a road, and it was on the property line. We told him he couldn't do that, and he just basically said yes, we could, and his friend that was with him said he's connected, he knows somebody who'll do what he wants. I thought in today's day of transparency, that's not necessarily true. Mr. Martin sent people out there for code, nothing ever happened, it was a gray area, and my neighbor, Mr. Lejo, was able to proceed, and proceed he did. By the time I stood before you and you put the stop work order in force, he was already across my property and heading to my neighbor's property across the easement. We started taking on water because in doing so, he blocked the natural drainage of our properties that was supposedly protected by the Illinois Drainage Act. So this has been proceeding from there. When he bought the property, he moved in business machinery. He started digging the road. He filled in broken cinder blocks, landscape waste. He brought in truckload after truckload of clay, lifted his property up, the drainage. I stood before you because I was worried that my septic field would flood. And all of us that are on septic fields, we don't want that to happen. So the stop work order was in place, that happened. Needless to say, I kept taking on water and taking on water. It wasn't just the back corner anymore, it's the whole back of my entire property, the back part. That being the case, I have standing water, odors, mosquitoes. We can't flush our toilets. We're worried that it's going to back up into my home. Can't wash dishes on certain days. Clothes, minimal showers. Cut our grass looks like a jigsaw puzzle because our lawnmower gets stuck in there. The back part of my property the grass started getting about 3 foot tall. So I put on boots, stood in water, and I used a weed whipper to cut a section that was about 3 foot by 210 feet. There's destruction on my property. What used to be a third of my yard that was in water is now a half. I don't drain. Memorial Day, didn't have a barbecue. When I spoke to Joe and Mike, they came out. I had a graduation party in June. We had to move the event. I was embarrassed to have family and friends there, that my toilets would back up in my home. It's disgusting to talk about, but that's what it is. So then we went on. All of this was done. Mr. Leibler had no permit. He didn't follow code, and he did whatever. Then we went back to him for engineering. And Joe's been working with me on this, and he's been out there almost every day, and he has been. The problem is sometimes it's a little too late, too little too late. The engineering for the drainage, he was given a month.
3 minutes.
He was given a month, then 2 weeks, then 2 more weeks, another week. He never got it on time. He kept getting extensions. This last part, he was told to put in a drainage. He put in 2 pipes. It was 3 inches higher than the water. Then he was told this past week after we went to adjudication court that he would have to dig out a section of the road. He dug out a fraction of the road. He was given 5 days. The 5th day was Monday. It wasn't done. My question to you, he's never incurred a fine. Never. So I'm asking you, was he fined for the past 2 days that it wasn't done? Because I need immediate help draining my lot. We can't go on not flushing toilets, not washing dishes, not doing laundry. We don't live in a third world country. I need to be able to use my home. So it's impacting my life, my property, damaging my property, and reducing the value of my property. So has he been fined?
I will go over this with him and I'll get a hold of you tomorrow.
So the answer is he hasn't been.
I don't know.
Joe, do you know?
The case is still open. We haven't assessed any fines. We've kept the case open through adjudication court, so we do have the ability to fine him. We're waiting on engineering reports right now. I talked to the resident today, and he's hopeful he can get it within the next day or 2. Beyond his control, he had a higher survey.
And I know I have only a few minutes, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Joe, but we had concern that he's running a business. Joe went out there, he was not running a business. Our concern grew when 55-gallon blue barrels showed up. Then he has a commercial dumpster. He's having spools of commercial wire delivered. He owns a spring company. Joe went out there and told us that he's not operating a business, however, he's storing things for his business. He sits on agricultural land, and he's taxed as agricultural land. I don't think he could use it for a warehouse for his business as well. So my other question is, what exactly is his intention with the property?
Okay, as I said before, I'm not supposed to even comment on it. This is public.
Okay,
I will talk to Joe and I will get a region.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Can everybody talk into the microphone? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Better? Okay. Next will be Michael Presty. Mike, there is a 3-minute limit.
I get it.
Okay.
Thank you, though. I'm here tonight because I'm irritated and annoyed to have to take time out of my life to present a point that I thought was resolved the last time I was here in October 2017. I thought this body was in agreement with the adverse nature of the truck stop at 159th and Galbraith. Not only are we here again making the same arguments, but the petitioner is doubling down on the truck stop fueling portion by making the proposal twice as big. The proposal that was turned down by the village in October 2017, but now it's a good idea according to the Planning Commission. You on this board all live either on Burrow Drive, Hank Court, Greenbrier, Graceland, Boulder Drive, and Farmview Streets. None of these streets are anywhere near the truck stop and would not be affected by the semi-traffic from it. You say it's not a truck stop, per se, but Mr. Balich from the county spilled the beans and said he was in support of the truck stop, and if it's not built, then it would go across the street to Lot Tucky, and that lot is not true. It's a lot smaller and it's on a floodplain. Another point brought up was the high school was in favor, so more tax dollars would be generated. Now, I'm sorry, but I have never heard of a taxing body that refused money. So maybe they need the money to hire more assistant principals, counselors, aides, etc. But this argument does not ring true with me. Now, mean-spirited Mike comes out. The village expressed that it would police the truck stop so rules would be followed. So when the truck drivers are eating at the restaurant, their trucks won't be idling, will they? So how will this be enforced? Homer Glen does not have its own police department, no fire department, no park district, no public works, no health department to ensure any of the rules are followed. Your building department did such a bang-up job on the sewer extension that the Army Corps of Engineers had to tell the construction company to put up silt fencing to stop the tons of topsoil from flowing down Fittiman Creek. Confidence is low on my part that the village knows the proper procedure for this type of project. The last time you relied on the engineering was from the petitioner. To my point, the entrance exit on Gallagher Road that they show on their prints for semi-trucks, according to the Illinois State Police, Weight Management Enforcement, and all other agencies that I checked with, the weight limit starts at the intersection, not 100, 200, or 300 feet down the road to make the plan fit. No semi-trucks are allowed at all on Gallagher Road for any reason at any point. Now, my neighborhood has been under siege for the last few years by Lock Tucky and their disregard for any homeowners in the building warehouses without isolating them from residential areas. Even School District 92 bought a parcel on Gallagher as a maintenance facility and brings in debris from the entire district in open burns in clear violation of codes and ignores all notifications from Homer Fire Protection District. The reason I bring this up is we now have a proposal for a truck stop 700 feet from people's homes. These are homes that people work hard for, to pay for and maintain their homes. Their kids live there. Some of us have retired there. No Homer Glen resident will be affected by your decision. But I ask, do the right thing for the hardworking people of my neighborhood and no truck stop.
Thank you, Mr. LaPresti.
All right.
Mr. LaPresti.
2 seconds, 2 seconds. I will reiterate, gas station's okay, we just don't want the truck stop. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Mr. LaPresti, are you going to speak?
Deborah Lopresti, 15535 Gallagher Road. I've been living there for 32 years. And I would like to start off by saying I believe most of us here are not opposed to the gas station being built. What we are opposed to is the accommodation of the high-rise fuel pumps, catering to and welcoming semi-trucks, therefore a truck stop. In reviewing the minutes of the May 16th Planning Commission minutes, I would like to point out there were many omissions and inaccuracies, hoping this wasn't on purpose. I would like to review a comment that was made at the May 16th meeting by Steve Balich of the Will County Board, who stated that he, and speaking on behalf of Will County Board member Mike Friccoloni, I don't know if I said it right, who was not in attendance, that Mr. Friccoloni lives near the proposed truck stop. Oops, is that a Freudian slip on his part? That they both are in support of the truck stop. Fact is, Mr. Friccoloni lives 2.8 miles from the site. The plans are 700 feet from these people's houses. I don't think 2.8 miles constitutes close. Will not affect him. Not one Homer Glen resident will be impacted by the increased semi-truck traffic that will impact the residential area more than it currently does. Also at the May 16th meeting, Mr. Soltis with CIMA developers talked about selling high-end beer and wine and spirits. A planning commissioner member spoke up questioning that she was not aware of any alcohol being sold there. Are all the facts not being turned in? Another point to mention at the May 16th minutes was that I personally called every single Pride gas station that is listed on their website, asking them, do you accommodate semi-trucks? Of all 13, only one does, and that's in Kildare, and it's in an industrial park. We're not opposed to selling diesel, not the high-rise accommodating semi-trucks. They're not familiar with it, they only have one facility. The answer to prevention of no semi-trucks idling, no overnight parking, and no right turn to Gallagher Road at the May 16 meeting from the Planning Commission. Their answer was to post signs. Really? These truck drivers aren't paying attention to signs that are saying, don't come on that street, and the speed limit's 30 miles an hour. They're not going to pay attention to those signs. And oh yes, that's right, will we depend on Will County sheriffs to police this? I don't have a warm fuzzy feeling about that. Semi-trucks travel all day up and along Gallagher Road. For instance, I stayed home last Friday. For 1 hour I sat in my front yard. 6 trucks back and forth on Gallagher Road. This is just a sampling of the trucks going up and down. Will County Sheriff's answer to not enforcing the scaling is that the scales are heavy and they don't want to drive around with them. Tell you what, boys, I'll buy one, put it in my garage, and have access for you at any time. So, just a gas station, we're okay with. Gas stations selling diesel fuel, don't put in the high rises to bring in the semi-trucks.
Thank you. Next would be Tim O'Meara.
Jim, it is 3-minute limits.
I understand that. So I'm going to do a little, I don't have staff to put my stuff together, so I'm going to hand out stuff to you guys now, so I don't waste it on my 3 minutes. Unfortunately, I miscounted. You're going to have to pass that one picture on for you guys. You, there. You gentlemen, here. You, also this one. And here we go. Here's the trifecta of enforcement. Oh, guess what? We don't have a tractor trailer problem like Gallagher Road. Take a look at this. Take a look at these. There you go, sir. Okay, I'm trying to double up tonight because we had a last-minute sick call. I personally can present that. So, let me gather my thoughts here. My name is Tim O'Meara. I reside at 15951 West Shady Lane. I'm in a log cabin on the corner of Shady and Gallagher. Been a resident there for 30 years. I built that house with my own hands. Okay, let's get started. Lockport wants to become the warehouse capital of the world. You guys can't do anything about that. I know that. You got 163rd, you got only 50% occupancy up there. You got 151st, you only have 50% occupancy down there, and they're looking to put in more warehouses. They're doing up Will County zoning on the other property that's down there. I'm sure they're not going to be putting in high-end condos for the workers that are working in the warehouses. So more trucks are coming. And then we got the Paul Moses project, 151st and Archer Avenue. That's being built. When that goes in operation, that's 300 trucks a day in and out of that facility. Okay? You can't do anything about Lockport turning this the warehouse capital of the world, but then with all the illegal truck traffic up and down Gallagher County, the photo of those trucks pulled over, that was the one time that we get a traffic officer out there. That was 30 minutes of him being out there. He pulled over to one truck, 2 more piled in, and as I was walking away, a 4th truck pulled up. That's just having a traffic officer for 40 minutes out there. We're averaging anywhere between 30 and 40 trucks a day up and down Gallagher Road, ripping up and down the street. Okay? So, and with all this going on, the only thing you guys can think to do is to build the first truck stop in the area at 159. Oh, that's not going to bring any trucks there. They don't pay attention to the signs right now. Okay? They will go willy-nilly wherever they want. Okay? Driving, I can tell because it shakes my wife's cereal cabs. We got the morning rush, we got a lull, we got the evening rush, and then you got the overnight guys. Okay? So again, I've been trying for 3 years to get that off the thing. Nothing's happening there. Okay, moving right along. Alright? They're not obeying the signs. Go on with here. I'm so, like I said, mad about this whole thing, having to waste my time to come out here like Mike to do this again. Okay? You can never undo bad development. If you uncork this genie and build this truck refueling center up here, you're not going to put the cork back in the bottle. Okay? It's going to go downhill from there. This was a bad idea when Gas and Wash tried to do it. You guys rightfully amended the PUD to remove the fueling stations. And then he got mad, took his ball, and went home. Because he couldn't bully you guys into giving him what he wanted. Okay? Alright, there's new rules for truck drivers, okay? They drive on an 11, 14, 10 schedule. They can only be behind the wheel for 11 hours. They can do paperwork and unloading, maintenance, and loading of the truck for another 3. After that, they have to have a mandatory 10-hour rest break. If they violate that risk break and they get caught, it's a $2,750 fine, $2,750.
3 minutes.
So you don't think these truck drivers are gonna look for a spot to pull in? Take a look at those photographs. That's Gash and Wash on 191st and 88th Avenue. There are trucks in that facility every single night, overnight. The other one is Speedway. They're in there every single night, overnight. Okay? Once you do this, there's nothing in the world that you're gonna be able to do to stop these guys. You can post all the ordinances, put up all the signs in the world you want, it's not gonna stop them. They have to get someplace. And they'd rather be in a place that they can get hot and cold food, hot and cold running liquor, in a 24-hour bathroom, and with a call on a phone, some companionship. That's what follows this. Okay? And again, like I said, this has been going on for 3 years. You can write, and like I said, I don't think a $15 an hour night clerk is going to go out and act like a bonded security agent, which the petitioner said that they would do. Their employees are going to go out there and shake these truckers out of there. Not going to happen. I was almost beat up by one of these truckers when I pulled them over. I had to call Will County. Okay? So again, how do I know all this is going to happen? I pay attention. I watch what's going on around me. They're pulling in everywhere they can. They're pulling in, they're staying at Walmart. They're staying at Myers overnight. You got 300 more trucks a day coming. Where do you think they're going to go? And again, you guys have no capability to monitor this or enforce it. Because you know how I know that? Right here. This is 3 years of every official elected, posted, hired in Will County, Homer Township, Lockport, Homer Township, everybody. Safety
You're
committees.
at 5 minutes.
Well, I'll finish up in 30 seconds, okay?
Tim, she gets respect too. No.
I said I'll finish up in 30 seconds. Did I say anything disrespectful? I don't have a staff to put all this together. Okay? I don't have people running around putting together my binders. Okay. So again, in this book is I can't do anything. Sorry, it's not our jurisdiction. 3 years of people not wanting to do anything. You think that you guys as a body, you're gonna keep an eye on this? Never in a million years is it gonna happen. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Howard.
Hi, I'm Pat Howard, 15607 Forest Court. I've lived out here most of my life. I went to Homer grade school. I played hockey on Rogers Pond on the corner of Cedar and 7th Street. Went down to Christmas Tree Lake to get pop and potato chips to bring back to our tree fort. Everybody knew Homer Glen and Homer Township was going to develop, that things were going to happen. When I moved back here, when I built my house, I built it here because I remembered what the community was. It was designed for families, it was designed for safety for kids, it was designed for, that's what everybody thought of when they thought of Homer Township. Farmland, peace, quiet. We realize we can't do anything about Lockport's warehouses, but you guys have the ability to control semi-traffic on Galva Road, stuff that affects our way of life. Nobody begrudges Kathy and Dave Boo the right to benefit from their property. Everybody wishes them nothing but the best. Nobody begrudges them having the ability to contract with somebody to put a gas station on their property. What we object to is truck traffic. My wife was in a car accident on Galva Road, on the hill. My son was in the back seat. It was on a snowy day. The driver who hit her couldn't see her. And if you think it was a car accident, think of what it would have been if the semi hit her. There's a school bus stop at the bottom of the hill. There's school bus stops all along Galva Road. Galva is not rated for truck traffic. And we all know if you put a gas station in there with high-rise truck stops, truck pumps in there, something's going to happen. Trucks are going to continue going down Galva Road. Leaving for the office this morning, 2 trucks went by me. Coming home tonight, another truck went by me. It's going to happen. And it won't be on us because we really want to say not to happen. You guys can't stop the trucks on Galva Road right now. Galva's not rated. You got culverts right at Shady Lane that aren't rated for truck traffic, and you've got them going over there every single day. The police even said they can't do anything about it. They can't be out there 24/7. They can't put their scales out there 24/7. But our kids and our families are out there 24/7. We have no control of that. You guys do. Again, do the right thing. Don't affect our quality of life. Nobody wants to affect anybody else's. The truck stop isn't going in your neighborhood. It's not going half a mile or a quarter mile or 100 yards from your house. It's going it's that close to us. And we're the ones who hear the trucks. I can't think of the term they use when they use their engines to brake going down the hill. But that's what we hear at night. That's what we hear during the day. And like I said, bus stops, school, families, we're the ones who have our way of life affected by this. Nobody begrudges the gas station. Everybody applauds it. I wouldn't mind having it there. I just don't want the truck traffic that's going to come along with it. So thank you for your time.
Rose Renders.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Rose Renders. I'm the owner of Taza Italian Restaurante in Homer, Glen. Don't shoot the messenger, guys. I'm here today to support Kathy Boo and her family for the gas station proposed for 159th and Concord. And the reason being is that I know that there's been many concerns about this, and I know that we're never going to stop the truck traffic, but I do know, as a business owner, we need deliveries on a daily basis from these semi-trucks. I see no way to avoid them in our area. We have Myers, we have Home Depot, we have Menards, and we have the 355 industrial area that rely on all of these semi-trucks to bring supplies to the village and to the business owners. The gas station would literally be 1,100 feet from what I understand from the 355 ramp. Why would we not, as a village, capitalize on the opportunity that would generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for this village? From cars and trucks that use diesel fuel, and from the many people from the surrounding area that would support. They would go to and from this gas station to purchase gas, pick up a few things, to get their car washed. It's revenue. That's how I look at it. It's revenue. It's 1,100 feet from 355. I urge this board to do the right thing and approve this gas station. We can't pass on the opportunity to generate this kind of revenue for our village again. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Next would be Kathleen Downing.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Downing. Me and my husband own our home on 15649 Garber Road. I'm the second driveway from this proposed fueling station. I've been a resident in Homer Township for 33 years. And yes, we have had a lot of change, usually for the better. I also say, this is the same proposal as the first one came, so I don't want to waste time with that. But what we do have is a huge problem, safety problem, with getting our kids on and off that school bus. The Shady Hollow kids stop is Albert and Shady Lane. We could have 12 stops a day, 4 grammar schools, 2 high schools, twice a day. That's 12 lanes. There's also buses going to Oak Prairie, going up there. My granddaughter that lives in Carroll is one of them. They also have to drive up Gallagher.
Kathleen, could you please pull the microphone up a little bit?
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, so we have Oak Prairie at the end of the block, and we have a lot of buses. In kindergarten through 3rd grade in District 92, children are not allowed to get off the bus without a parent or someone there to pick them up. If you're not the parent, you have to show ID to pick them up. This takes time and leaves that bus sitting there on Gallagher Road, vulnerable for trucks to come over that blind hill. I talked to my sister-in-law, who is a dispatcher, first student, and they cannot pull into the subdivision. It's a dead end. It's not safe. It's not an option. When you look down Gallagher Road, we look like a roller coaster with the hills and everything. With that blind hill, you don't know that there's houses, driveways, school buses. There is one bus stop sign very close to my neighbor to the north. And yeah, bus also stops at their driveway. The kids don't walk down to the bus stop because we have no sidewalks. They would be walking through snow, lawns, and if you walk in the road, we also have no shoulder. trucks need 333 feet to stop. We only have 272 for that bus stop. And if they're loaded, it takes them even longer than that, and also at the speed. Many times, it's only been minutes that trucks come by when the bus has been dropping kids off. The trucks only escape to avoid the bus would be to go to oncoming traffic, or turn right into our ditches, which he would probably tip, or turn left into the gully, and it's about 8 feet deep.
3 minutes.
Okay. We do have a new superintendent for District 92, and I have a meeting with him when he starts in July to address this safety issue for our children. You know, we worry about our kids in school. We need to worry about getting them to and from school too. So.
Thank you, Kathleen. Next would be Catherine Lawler.
Mr. Mayor, after this lady speaks, could I have two
It's not on the list tonight, John. We got a long list of things.
Yeah, because these guys aren't used to sitting this long. No, and
we can work up in there.
I'm thinking about getting back,
We're all sitting.
Well.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Lauren. I live at 15919 West Shady Lane. I am one of the neighbors that lives 700 feet from this proposed gas station. I am definitely not opposed. Most of my neighbors aren't, as you can tell. We are definitely opposed for the truck traffic. It's really a safety issue. I really think everyone who has a child that's going to District 92 should be worried about this, especially that blind hill and those trucks coming over. They're never going to be able to stop on time. Really, you should think about the children, definitely. And also seniors. My neighbor the other day, she was coming off of Gowder and taking a right-hand turn off Gowder towards 151st, and a truck came over that hill and he couldn't stop and he had to go into the left-hand lane to get around her. I've seen trucks up and down Gowder constantly, going up and down the hill. The other day, I was behind a truck, a semi that was going down towards 151st. There were 2 police officers in the parking lot of Oak Prairie, and no one stopped them. Nobody. I come down 151st towards Gowder, and I see trucks turning left from Silver, going down to Gowder. And I know that's a 7-ton limit also. So I just want to say that being part of this community, we should really be concerned about the safety here. And we have no problem with gas stations at all, but we have problems with trucks. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Kathy Booth.
Hi, I'm Catherine Boo. I live at 15850 West Shady Lane. My husband and myself and our family own this property that we are trying to get a gas station on. We have owned this property, our children are 5th generation on this property. To say we've seen the changes in this area is an understatement. My mother used to talk about 159th being 2 lanes of gravel road, and they did it with horse and wagon. So, I mean, I've seen the changes. The neighborhood that, 8 of the residents that are in Glen Township that live in Shady Hollow subdivision, I remember when their homes were built and that subdivision was nothing. Then we had 355 come through, which has been on the books since about 1964, 66, when my mother and grandfather went to the first meeting. To say 355 changed the area is an understatement. I was at the board meetings in Lockport when Lockport was approving these warehouses. I was there. There's a video where I'm getting my butt chewed by the then mayor about questioning the warehouses, the school, the buses, closing the roads. But it still went through, and they did it. To answer a few questions here, The semis are not to go off of 159th Street on Galva Road at all. My driveway on Galva Road is owned by the state. That was done when 355 came through. That is owned by the state. The trucks can go to the driveway on Galva. With 355 built, we hear the road noise all the time. Watching my property like a hawk was a comment I heard from one of my so-called neighbors over the years. This property is your prime commercial real estate. That's the only corner that Homer Glen stands to get revenue off of, because the other three are all Lockport. I annexed into Homer Glen. You spent over $5 million putting sewer and water in this past year that you have to this property. Do you not think $500,000 a year in investment back in taxes would be beneficial to repaying for that, also to get into the community? I heard you have no police department, no fire department, no park district. Okay, you have all of it except the park district, but you pay for it. Wouldn't you think having some extra revenue would be beneficial to help build that as time comes on? Also, this is 5 acres of the whole 44. There's 39 more acres to go. My residents here that live off of Shady Lane, half of them have stuff on my property. They have 2 pipelines that go through the property that they will end up having a 60-foot berm that I will not be able to build, sell, or anything on because it is pipeline with our property. Pipeline has easement for it.
3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm not thrilled about the changes that I have to do down the line, but it's called progress, and it has to be done one way or another. And I hope you guys see the writing on the wall and know that you represent 25,000 residents in Homer Glen, not just these 8. Go ahead and boo.
Last one is Margaret Sabo.
Margaret, 3 minutes.
I shall obey.
Starting now. It is important that the approved plan for the Pride gas station at 159th and Galvin include documentation to prove that the outdoor lighting ordinance be followed without exception or variance. I don't know. I haven't read anything about it, so I don't know if it's obeyed without exception or variance. Pole lighting has started to be installed at intersections on 159th Street for Parker, Cedar, and Bowser to be included in the many, many lights for an enormous amount of lighting of property and roads. On Cedar, for example, they have started with the pole lights. And I have tried to count because they're not complete. I have counted 12 lights. That's at Cedar, both sides of 159th Street, the north and south, and also 159th Street as you approach either from the east or the west. Now, to double that, there'd be 24 or more. And Mike Salamovich has the exact count of the number of pole lights. And I have counted them with another trustee, and it's an enormous amount of light. So there's a very healthy amount of increased lighting from what we know before improvements on 159th Street, which were perhaps 2 pole lights at all. This kind of lighting will irritate the neighbors on Galva Road. At Shady Hollow, the light travels. These pole lights on 159th and also on Galva Road will be very tall. There is no reason for the Pride gas station to have more lighting than the outdoor lighting ordinance requires, because there will be quite a lot of lighting installed on both sides of Galva Road. That's the east and west side of Galva Road, plus across 159th Street in all directions. The neighbors in Shady Hollow are really in our Homer Glen's planning area. Then we are responsible for how that area is to be developed. And I always considered them our residents. And at one time, many, all of them except one who has left from Shady Hollow, had signed annexation agreements. I don't know what happened to that. There was a change in lawyers, but another trustee and I went to Kathy's house. Kathy's already spoken here, and they signed the annexation agreement. I would hope that the truck facility would be taken out, and that there would be, if not, I hope it not to be a hangout or rest stop for truckers or a parking area overnight, no idling at night or day except for gas. So that's my comment. I agree with all the neighbors that have spoken. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. That ends public comment. Did you want to?
Yeah, Mayor, I was just going to ask if we could possibly move J1 up ahead of the consent agenda.
Is that right? So, an all in favor?
Along with that, Mayor, also I would ask that we take out J3 for separate consent, or I'm sorry. I3 for separate consideration.
Okay. All in favor on that? We got you have to take out I3. Okay. All right, so let's get over to
J1.
J1. Okay, J1, proclamation recognizing private first class Michael C. Oliveri, American Legion, Post 2011. Is there a motion to approve the attached proclamation recognizing the PFC Michael C. Oliveri, American Legion, Post 2011?
So moved.
Trustee Rogers. Second. Trustee Durian. Discussion. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holtz? Aye. Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Durian?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmiel?
Aye. Sorry about making you sit so long. Sometimes it just happens to pop in there. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's all right. I think that too. Thank you very much. Excellent. I appreciate it. All right. This project, if you guys want to just come up here and let them all see it too. This is, I'm going to do a whereas once. Whereas the American Legion was chartered and incorporated by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veterans organization devoted to mutual helpfulness, and the American Legion is the nation's largest wartime veteran service organization, and the American Legion is committed to mentoring youth and sponsorship of wholesome programs in our communities. And the American Legion advocates patriotism and honor, promoting strong national security. And the American Legion advocates patriotism and honor with continued devotion to fellow service members and veterans. And local American Legion programs and activities strengthen the nation one community at a time. And whereas a group of Marion Village veterans were inspired to find a place for the local fellow veterans to come together, and whereas Marion Village and the Village of Homer Glen community welcome the new American Legion Post to our community, and now therefore be proclaimed by the Mayor and Village Board of Trustees that the private first class Michael C. Oliveri American Legion Post 2011 be recognized as a vital organization in the Village of Homer Glen, Illinois. Be it further proclaimed that American Legion Post 2011 continue to honor those veterans who gave their lives for this country and continue promoting active membership, participation, and service to the community. Approved this 26th day of June 2019.
If I may, would you guys mind stepping up by the flags to take a picture since this is such an honorable proclamation? If you would be nice. Mayor, Mr. Longmire is here.
This way?
No, sir.
Right back there. This way to get everything in the picture. They all set?
Hang on, one with the flag. All right.
And I'm happy we're working hard to get it. Okay. And we have the...
Yeah, sure.
Ron, do you want to say anything before you left? Because
Oh, yeah.
this is your business.
I want to thank Glen for the award, but I just told the mayor that I received a phone call today from the state of Illinois, the headquarters for the American Legion. Glen has won the Pioneer Award as the first post in the state of Illinois to get all its new members sworn in, and we are the first post actually to be how would I say, we hold our grounds on senior citizens location. So we're open and we have 30 new members so far. So thank you very much.
Okay. So we'll go back to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the village board and will be enacted by one motion. Is there a motion to approve the following items? Treasurer's report of cash and investments for the period ending of May 31st, 2019. The accounts payable for the period of June 7th, 2019 through June 27th, 2019 in the amount of $792,016.22. And the appointment of Marty Pavlik to the Parks and Recreation Committee. So moved. Trustee Gray.
I'll second.
Trustee Sweet. Discussion. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Motion carries. Oh, we can. All right. Outside of the consent agenda, we have a motion to assign a Class E liquor license, temporary license to Annunciation Byzantine Catholic Church located at 14610 South of Locust Road, Homer Glen, for the Prairie Fest occurring on October 9th through the 11th, 2019. August. What did I say? Close.
So moved.
I'm going to be here, we're okay.
So moved.
All right. So that would be Trustee Rogers,
I'll second.
Trustee Sweet. Any discussion on that, except for it's on August 9th, not October? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
I abstain due to the fact that I'm a liquor license.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we've already done a proclamation for the gentleman, so we will move to, is there a motion to authorize staff to plan a movie in a park event sponsored by the Dan Kennedy Group for July 30th, 2019, with a rain date of August 1st, 2019?
So moved.
Trustee Holmes?
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Kenny, in case you have questions.
Yeah, you here? Yeah. Why don't you fill us in on what you're going to
Yeah,
do?
he brought this to the Parks Committee at our last meeting so that everyone is aware that the Parks Committee fully supports this.
Yeah, I will not take up too much of your time. We have weightier issues to deal with this evening. I will just clarify the motion a little bit. It says a motion to authorize staff to plan. We're not requesting staff or an allocation of resources from the village whatsoever. We have our own staff in place. We're planning everything. Most of the planning has been done. Most of the legwork has been done on this. Most of the research has been done to make sure this is done properly, safely, and in a wonderful, fun way for the village. So really our goal here is to bring more attention to that green space out there. I was actually, on a personal note, I just drove in from Indiana this morning to take my kids to a drive-in movie last night. I think it's a magical thing to do, and we would love to sponsor it for the village because we know that your resources are tight without a parks district, and so we wanted to step in and do this. So really, all we're requesting tonight is approval and permission to use the space, and we'll hit go tomorrow and get started.
I have a comment, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Kenny. I
Yeah.
think it will be a great event. Will you also have volunteers to do any cleanup? I was just curious.
We
Still
absolutely.
have volunteers
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
work it. Do we need to also amend the motion to take the authorized staff to plan? Or is it okay to leave it as is?
Well, staff is still our property.
In there, okay.
Yeah.
And my other comment is, since we don't have a procedure in place, that we should consider this as an exception this time until we get a procedure in place and policy for events like this.
Fine. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sweet?
Aye.
I'm going to act too. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 19-025, an ordinance approving a plat of consolidation for lots 23 and 24 located in the Hunt Club Meadows subdivision, Homer Glen, Illinois, HG-910-P, lots 23 and 24, Hunt Club Meadows? Trustee Gurrian?
Second.
Trustee Rogers? Discussion. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Pazmino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holtz?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sluice?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye. Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 19-026, an ordinance approving a plan of consolidation to combine 16063 South Parker Road with parcel 16-05-23-100-027, located in Homer Glen, Illinois, HG-1911-P16063 South Parker Road.
So moved.
Trustee Varian?
Second.
Ray, discussion.
There was some concerns relative to public safety access or the access for the fire department, but I know that we don't have any drawings or anything that show the outline or the survey of how the house is going to be built, but I just want to make sure that we're looping in the fire department throughout the process, because they do have some concerns, or they want to make sure there's some standards that are met because of the extreme depth of this property. So I just want to be on record as knowing that we need to make sure that we have Chief Bricker in line throughout the whole communication. Because again, there are some concerns with regards to how far it goes back and how wide they want the driveway to be and clearing and such. All right?
Yeah,
Am I missing anything?
Chief Bricker sent me some information, but I think most of what Chief Bricker had sent me was in regards to roads, and this being a private drive, we're not really sure of the, the jurisdiction there, if that still applies. I know that Chief Building Official, Chief Building Officer Faber told me that they're planning a 14-foot wide driveway, but it might not hit all the regulations and requirements that you have of the 75,000 pounds and all the turning radiuses.
So yeah, so he was stuck that right before the meeting, and I talked, so yeah, we're definitely gonna follow up with each other and kind of square away what the definition of the driveway versus the road is and that. So yeah, Joe and I will definitely work together on that.
And is this the petitioner?
Yeah, he's got the survey, he said.
That's correct, Your Honor. I do have a survey, for the record, Jim Spindle, STA, and ULA, on behalf of Mr. Polakis. I believe it was a survey, if you want me to pass it around, that does seem to have the home and the driveway on it.
When I spoke with Chief Building Officer Faber earlier, there's what looks to be a septic layout on J5, which is the other areas that the petitioner's requesting. And it does show kind of a looping driveway going all around. And again, sir, all we're really concerned about is that, the fire safety can get back to you in a timely manner and that they can get back out. If you had a call at your residence and they brought 2 trucks down your driveway, if it's not going to meet their requirements, they can end up tearing apart your lawn or something, trying to get back out of there. You might not have had an emergency and you may end up with a torn up lawn or something. So those are our concerns.
Understood.
Okay.
So you are not the owner?
I am not. I'm here on behalf of them.
Any other questions?
I have another question, because I thought in the past we were getting away from flag lots, and now we are in essence creating a flag lot.
No one else is going to be living on that. That's a drive for that house. And the size of the house is going to be, there's not a lot of room for anyone to build something next to it. Any other questions? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holtz?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Sluice?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Graziano?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is there a motion to approve ordinance 19-028, an ordinance approving 1, preliminary and final plan application, 2, special use for the plan unit development, 3, special use permits for a mini mart associated with the gas station.
DDJ5.
Oh, that's the actual one. Right. That was stuck to the other one, sorry. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 19-027, an ordinance granting a variance to permit hardy board fiber cement siding on the first floor of the dwelling in lieu of the exterior construction standards, requiring stone or brick material cover 100% of the aggregate total area of first floor to four-story exterior walls, exclusive of windows, doors, and associated trim. 75-67A. Applicability and scope type of building for structure of Chapter 75 buildings of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen for certain real property located at the A2 Rural Residential District of 6063 South Parker Road, Homer Glen, Illinois.
So moved.
Trustee Gray,
Second.
Trustee Holmes, discussion.
I have, well, go ahead. Is anything?
What?
I have a comment. First of all, I'm not a fan of the hardboard on a house, especially when it's on both the first and second level. I saw the brick here. The brick is nice, but I'm kind of curious as to the color. I mean, it's such a dismal color for the entire house, black on black.
Again, I think that's just a personal preference. There was a rendition dropped off. It will be the actual color of the sample that was provided today. So with the roof and the hardy board, that was the designer's choice to go with that type of color.
Okay, and hardy board, I mean, that's something that we don't allow, especially on the first level. And he has an entire house on all levels, except for the front stonage a little bit. So that's my concern. Because in the past, we've approved some hardy board on a house in Spring Creek Woods maybe a couple of years ago. And residents have said, you know, to me, it almost looks sometimes like an underlayment, a sublayer. Because people say, well, when's that house going to be done? I said, well, it is. So, I mean, that's an opinion that they provided to me.
It's my understanding there are no adjacent properties that will conflict with this design. As far as the ordinance, it does restrict certain materials, vinyl, but this does comport with the structural integrity, the fire resistance, and the aesthetic value that the ordinance of the village is striving for.
Just to clarify, we do allow for hardy board on the second floor.
Oh, on the second floor?
Oh, yeah, you said we don't allow.
No, I meant to say, this house is
Right.
all over except for a little bit in the front. No, the second floor would be okay, but
Well, and hardy board is also considered a cement product.
I know, but they're asking for a variance, and this is not a hardship case, it's just they want to do what they want to do.
Well, that's up to you guys to decide.
I think given the architecture, it looks good and appropriate in this instance. I kind of like the eclectic mix of the, and I won't address the attorney anymore because it's more the architect or the owner. It's a good eclectic mix of traditional and kind of a contemporary feel. You know this isn't everybody's cup of tea. I think this is a really stunning house myself, and I think it would be a great piece of property to go and visit or even for entertainment, things of that nature. So I think, to me, this looks good. And by the way, hardy board, even though it's not particularly written into our code, I have a cedar on my house on the second floor, and it's painted with a semi-transparent stain, so it's yellow. So it looks essentially like that piece of run, considering I myself next to the run. So I want to paint it again, so. But, because of the stamped embossed effect on the hardy board, it does look like a wood product too.
Any other comments? No? Okay. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Holmes?
Aye.
Trustee Rogers? Aye. Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Pezznino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much for your time.
I think you're really got washed out tonight.
Sorry for recording.
paving tomorrow.
They were.
I'll clear my extra program.
This won't impact homework.
Matt will be fired tomorrow.
You changed it. All right, next, we're on to ordinance number 7. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 19-013, an ordinance amending section 220-839 of chapter 220 of the Code of the Village of Homer Glen pertaining to the keeping of farm animals, Village of Homer Glen, case number HG 1903AJ.
It was moved up.
So do I have a motion? So moved. Trustee Bergen? You second? Trustee Rogers? Discussion.
Well, I know that there's been a lot of discussions relative to the signage, and I'm wondering if we've just made any headways with that. Signage as it's proposed, there's been no change. Oh, I'm sorry.
We have no signs proposed for chickens.
Number 7.
5 and 6.
That's what you just read, right? Breakfast and chicken and beans.
What did I miss?
I know my girls.
We like honey and we like chicken.
So we're talking about chickens and bees? I don't know if I want to do that. All right, so is there any discussion on chickens and bees?
Mayor, just briefly, can Director Gotti just quickly explain what we are considering for the motion? That it's going to be E1 and E2, R1 and R2, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Both for both chickens and bees.
Right. Okay.
Are you waiting for?
Oh, well, yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything more, it's just those 4 zones.
No, pretty much the option 2, there were 3 options proposed at the May 22nd meeting. So we pretty much inserted option 2 into the ordinance, you have in front of you. So pretty much the chickens and bees shall be permitted in E1 and E2 districts as well as R1 and R2 with no special use permit. And the setback for both cases will be 50 feet from all property lines. And the village will enforce the nuisance ordinance for all, for both of them. So that's a quick summary of option 2 that was approved in the last board meeting.
And Director Gotti, they are also adding the statement for the ordinance, as we see here, unless authorized by state or federal regulations about the harboring of wild and exotic animals, correct?
That's correct.
Part of it?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any other questions on it, or are we in agreement for the 1 acre parcels? And
Yeah, Mayor, I'd just like to reiterate, and I know we've said this half a dozen times before, this is a loosening of our restrictions. Right now, it's in a no enforcement area, but we don't allow chickens and bees right now, so this is a relaxation in allowing these items in some of our zoning areas. So while it might look a little odd the way it's worded, it really is a relaxation of the current status. And I think that we've had certainly enough conversations about chickens and bees over the last couple of months. I think we've done a lot of due diligence on this, and I think this is a good place to land. We can always relax it even further at some future point if we want to or if we need to. But like I said, I think this is a very good and fair compromise.
I actually don't agree, but that's fine. I'll stay my job.
Okay, is there any other comments? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Rogers?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Varian?
Aye.
Trustee Paganino?
Aye.
Trustee Gray?
Aye.
Trustee Holmes?
No.
I'm an aye. Okay, now we go back to 6. Here comes the rain. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 19-028, an ordinance approving 1, a preliminary and final plat application to 2, a special use for planned unit development. 3, special use permits for A, mini mart associated with a gas station. B, car wash. C, outdoor sales and storage. And D, 24 hours of operation. And 4, site plan approval for certain real property located in the C3 General Business District, 15930 West 159th Street, subject to the variances and conditions included in the Planning Commission recommendation. CIMA Developers LP HG-1902-PS.
So,
Great.
Mayor, I just want to point out they're showing the outdoor seating area as part of the site plan, so I just want to make sure if you approve the site plan, there's also an outdoor seating area right next to the restaurant.
So I was just wondering if we got any of the signage?
I can answer that question now. Staff, as part of the staff report, and BJ can walk the board through the different variances that are being requested. The proposal that was submitted at the Planning Commission is still the same proposal that you have before you tonight, with the exception being that the corner monument sign, which originally had both the village's monument sign attached to the private business sign, they have detached it, they have moved their sign back from the corner, but it is still behind the village's location of where the sign would be placed for our entrance into the village. The other area of signage that staff has concerns about was the off-premise sign that is recommended to be placed on, not on the subject property, but placed on a piece of property that's going to be to the east of it. As you know, our village code does not allow off-premise signs. They're in the process of granting, working with the current property owner, which is the Booth family, on getting the easement for that as well. So one of the things we wanted to remind the board of before you take a vote tonight is that, one, there was questions from the public, are they meeting the lighting code? They are meeting our lighting code. They're not asking for any variances from that. So that's been confirmed. We're still going through final engineering approval with them, so the exact layout of utilities and all those things will come subsequent after approval of the village board of this project. And we are also pursuing with the state of Illinois, IDOT, the possibility of placing an entryway monument sign in the median at 159th Street. We don't have approvals, there's a process you have to go through. There's a lot of work that's going to be entailed to do that. There might be some political work that needs to be done for that as well. To put our entry sign in the landscape median on 159th Street. If you cross over 355 to Lockport side, you'll notice that they have theirs in their landscape median. And so that's something that the village staff will continue to pursue. There's no guarantee that we'll get that though.
And also with that, I called the owner of the company and talked to him to see if, I don't know if he honestly knows what that sign looks like if it went up there, because it doesn't tell you anything if you're going to use it. The only people that are, if you are going to use, that's the only ones that will know what that gas station is. Going westwise, it has nothing. So I tried talking him into, staff had suggested going with a two-sided sign. So this way, no matter if you're coming east or west, they know what it is, what they sell, and basically prices of the gas and the rest of the stuff. In the meantime, though, the village manager and I did speak about sitting down with the state to see if it is possible we can put our sign in the middle of the median. It's supposed to be 23, 24 feet wide, which would look a lot next to the meter off his property, so it focuses on the property rather than us. So he said he was going to be going out there with some of his people. I had not heard back from him yet. I want to get through this tonight, and then from there, I'll call him again to see if he's done it. He said he wanted to walk through with everything. I'm happy to do that. So, other than that, look at what's in front of me. And I still, this is just, there's still a lot of things on this. And for the people that have computers, should we put in this first? Does anyone else have any other discussion on this?
Yes, I'd like to.
All right, so why don't you finish that up, and then I can kind of give my list.
Well, I think,
First thing I'd like to know is, why is liquor not a line item in the special permit, special use permit?
That's pending zoning approvals, so assuming you approve this tonight, it'll be on the next village board agenda.
Okay, last time we looked at this piece of property, it was part of the original PUD. Has that changed?
No. So you're speaking of the liquor court ordinance, right?
When we looked at this awarding, to granting this 2 years ago, liquor was like bullet point D or E or C, it was one of the bullets.
That was done at the same board meeting, and this time we're doing separate.
So they are still looking for liquor though?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I have a question about the outdoor sales and storage. There's no provisions in there that we're keeping them under the canopy or along the periphery of the building.
They actually show on the site plan at the southeast corner of the convenience store, right next to the building. So it's labeled propane storage.
I can't see anything on it. And like, when we
So it's pretty much it's on the walkway at the southeast corner of the convenience store.
So that's the only place, so it's not going to be under the canopy?
No.
Or out along the edge of the driveway or anything?
It's the propane storage.
Okay. Oh, that's the only thing they're thinking about selling outside?
That's the only thing they ask for outdoor storage instead.
Won't be pallets of mulch or anything? Okay.
And I would reiterate that is important because when we I'm not sure what it's called now, but when it was Gas City on the corner of 151st and Belt Road, we were very adamant that we didn't want the mulch out there. We didn't want, all of the seasonal things that you see out there. And they said, no, it's going to be in this little cage area. It's going to be contained there, and it's just not the case. And I know that staff is constantly keeping up with that. So I think for me that is important that it doesn't turn into a storage area outside. Because again, the last gas station that I was a part of, we were promised, no, none of that stuff was going to be out there.
So the petitioner is here, probably he can confirm that. Dan, are you here?
Good evening, I'm Dan Soltis, I'm with Team of Developers. I'm here on behalf of the petitioners, dry stores, 30W 180 Butterfield Road, Warrenville, Illinois. To answer the question, the only thing that we are asking for is the propane storage, which would be roughly a 6 foot by 3 foot, or I'm sorry, 6 foot by a 24 inch storage area. That's it. We don't do anything else in any of our locations in regards to mulch or windshield solvent or anything like that.
Is the propane like a vending carousel, or do you refill them?
We refill them. Right. It's just a storage. It stores, I believe, 24 typical containers.
That was pretty much after the liquor and that. And the only other thing I had was I still don't like the 3 foot monument for us with their sign directly behind it.
Work in progress.
Right. So.
I would ask that the signage be removed as part of any voting tonight, since it's such an unknown. I don't want to get caught in some type of loophole where we're approving it and then they say, well, you approved that 3 foot village sign. So I don't know how legally to do that, but I think that the signage should be something that's voted on separately once everything's been determined. I'm not sure how to go about doing that.
I agree because I agree because the way they're proposing it, even if it's just a few feet behind their sign, it looks like the village of Homer Glen owns a gas station. It's horrendous looking. So unless that sign's on 159th Street, I can't see it working on that corner, and I don't think it's a good idea of putting it in the median because it's going to be a short little sign to begin with. It's not because of traffic or blockage of views. You're not going to be able to have something that looks really nice.
For me, it's really more the height of it and not knowing exactly what the material is. I mean, everything looks nice there, but the height of it, the first good snowstorm and the plow goes by, that it's going to be underneath snow.
Right.
You're improving the site better.
Yeah, so just to make it clear, so for the main monument sign, they're seeking 2 variances to increase the sign area from 65 square feet to 100 square feet, and they want more than 4 sign panels. So they're asking for variances for the corner monument sign. So that wording could be separated for the variance, right?
Correct.
Director Gotti, what about the off-site sign? Because I don't think even if they get an easement for it, it might interfere with whatever comes into that area, so that's not a good idea either.
That's more of a directional sign, which is off-site, which is separate from the main monument sign.
Dan wants to say
If I may.
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Stay up.
From the last staff comments, the concern on that off-site sign, we reviewed that, and we can propose to move that onto our property on the east side of that 159th Street access drive, in that small little section there. Yeah. There we go. Right. We've confirmed with our engineering group that it does fit there, so that's what we're proposing. We haven't communicated that with staff yet, though.
So approximately how many feet away from the village sign? Just for...
This is just for the off-site sign.
Oh, for the off-site sign?
Yeah, this is just for the off-site sign. We still would like to propose that sign on our location, on that east side of the 159th Street Drive.
On your property?
On our property.
I'm good with that, and I don't have a problem with the main sign behind our proposed sign.
Well, I'd like to have, well, before we get into a lot of other issues, I would like to have that signage, because I don't want to see that. The renditions we've seen, I think it looks terrible.
Well, no one's agreed on the signage yet either way.
Well, I think it has to be removed, this is not part of what's going on for tonight until something's determined, because otherwise it's... I think the sign the proposed sign from the CED in February looks nice, and then come up with something that looks like we own a gas station.
I would say on behalf of CED, with this rendition, these elevations with the sign separated from our sign, we discussed in CED, and CED thought that this was also a bad idea to have it as proposed, even though in this elevation it's now separated.
Yes,
it's still
right
from
behind.
from the front, it still appears to be one sign. So I think the majority of us are in agreement on that.
So you want to just stipulate the sign, not part of the plat right now, even though it's not listed?
Part of the plan, it is on here. It is on here too.
I think what you can do is approve it subject to final negotiation of the location of the signage.
It's not only the location though, but the size. I mean, the Homer Glen one that they're proposing, I think this is too short.
You don't have the location of what the sign, the size of their sign or the size of the
One where they're saying you go here and we'll go there.
If I could add something, one of the concerns we have with the corner monument sign is the board hasn't set what you want the monument sign to look like. There's been a couple of renderings that have been tossed about, and this one I think was one that was thrown out for the last gas station that was proposed a few years ago. But we wanted to give the opportunity for the board to determine what that entry sign should look like. That should rest with you as the elected board. And we don't have that information yet, so this was kind of challenging for this particular project, is because we don't know what exactly that's going to look like, and we want to provide the opportunity for the village to look into that. So we were more concerned about just reserving a space, and an easement that we could then come back at a later date and say, okay, this is what we want our sign to look like.
Mr. Soltis, can you come up to the podium again?
Would you please stay up there? We have more questions.
With regards to the monument sign, can you give us an idea of why you seem to be stumbling on this point? It seems that most communities do allow, the site owner would allow an they want that separated from their business signs. Your signs, I think, would do much better if they were placed midway through your property, facing east and west on 159th Street, and maybe, if you tangentially had one on Gallagher facing north and south so that people can see that as well, separated from ours. And also, as Manager Fryland said, as an elected board, we're the ones who set the criteria and the standards for these things. So for us to be told that our sign can only be 36 inches is not really conducive to the way we do business, especially when we're being asked for variances on, variances away from what we currently do allow. So I'm just wondering if you can help me get over some of those stumbling points.
Sure. Well, in regards to what Trustee Holtz had mentioned, we didn't know what the gateway sign looked like other than what had been provided to us by staff, which was the rendering as you see on the display today. So that's what we were working with. We were working with that assumption, that that's what the village had agreed on, that's what the village had looked at previously.
Okay.
In regards to the separation, I know you can't see it on a 1D image, but there is separation here. Now, we did recommend to staff to raise that sign a bit to show more separation. It does show 3-foot masonry goalpost type pillars on it, so we thought, well, to raise it up just to show that bit of separation. To the mayor's point, the ownership does like that corner location. Now, whether we tweak that corner location, we were looking at that. He did get out there to take a look at it last week, but he's in Wyoming on business. But we do still like that corner location to capture the 355 visibility. Now, whether we can tweak it a bit to accommodate still both locations, we're still open for that. We thought the IDOT recommendation was hopefully a win-win for everybody on that.
Sure.
So
and you do understand, we are not asking you to finance, pay for, design, anything, a sign for us. We are only asking for the footprint, and basically we'd like that footprint to be ours, not to be, overshadowed by something taller and behind it that looks like they're in conjunction with each other. But you do understand, we are not asking you to pay for this.
Thank you for confirming.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but you said you want the people to see your sign. Nobody going west is going to see it. Nobody.
Well, we looked at that. We had the sign company look at it, try to do line of sights. Ownership thought tweaking it just a little bit, not from just a little bit of a different angle. You'll get some visibility as you're heading westbound. He's not here tonight, but he's still adamant that he still likes that corner location. So we're still trying to find a common solution.
Just for clarification, we approve structure, we don't approve content, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's why I'm not okay with this, and I don't think I will be. This is a potential of a welcome to Homer Glen, right? And what's in front of us now may be fine, TCBY, that may be fine, but we don't have control of the content going forward. So for me, this sign as presented on the corner of Welcome to Homer Glen, I have no ability to dictate content going forward 4 months from now, a year from now, of what that's going to be construed as together. Can you understand that? So that's my version or my view on why this corner signage won't work. And we want to be flexible on signage, right? I think that's been part of the process. But I think what you're asking for, as we talk about signage specifically, to me is, for those reasons, not something that I can support.
It's hard for me to understand the logic behind the signage because this is what's considered, this station is what's considered on the go-to-work side. There's a come-to-work side and there's a go-to-work side. This is the go-to-work side, the morning rush, the getting into the 355. And typically, that's when I get my gas in the morning because at the end of the night I just want to get home. I got something to do, get my gas. People are just going to pass right past here, grab your coffee. It's just, I'm having a hard time understanding why there's just why that needs to be there, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Instead of, as the go to work side, I'm gonna look and see where the gas is that morning, jump in, get my gas, get my cup of coffee, go to work. And you're not gonna see any of that. Okay.
All right, so as it goes right now, you want to say what you...
Well, I'm not sure if you, BJ, if you want to do something where we'd have to amend the motion to remove any approval of location and signage. I mean, location of signage and materials.
Sure. So there'll be two amendments. One is to remove the off-site sign as a variance, as they agreed to put it on-site. The second variance for the monument sign could be a separate motion. So if you want to do that as a separate motion.
Okay. Can you run that?
Sure. So when we look at the list of variances under Plan Commission recommendation, and so the board can act on the corner setback and the sign logos, the logo signs, and remove the permitted area for the main monument sign as a separate motion, delete the second ground sign as they agreed to put it on site, and the last variance is to allow the signs less than 15 feet from the property line. So I guess to make it easy, you can take out all the sign variances, make it a separate motion, and just approve the setback for the site plan.
That makes no sense.
So we need a motion, we have to amend the motion.
So Keith made the motion and Ann second.
I rescind my second.
And I'd like to amend my motion, help me, BJ, to take out all of the references.
To separate the setback variances from the sign variances.
Yes.
Jesus, way.
I'll second that.
Okay. So this is still going to be a work in progress. Do I do this? No.
For your discussion, go ahead. It's part of the discussion.
All right, so as far as all the questions you asked us and told us what your worries are, and like we've said multiple times, this is not our property. I don't have control over it. This board doesn't have control over it. It is not our property. That's Lockport's property. It's Lockport's issue on this one. The fight actually should have been with Lockport in the first place. As for the Will County Police, I think they do a wonderful job. They do go out there, but they can't go out there all the time. We pay for them. It's not like we do have our own police department. And Lockport is in control of giving the people tickets up there if they're in a truck. Tim, you're shaking your head no, but that's their responsibility. It's their property.
May I comment, please?
No, I'm speaking.
I got
No.
3 years in this. No, Lockport has no jurisdiction on Galvin Road. 159 to 150.
All right, I'm not going to get in an argument. I didn't say anything when you did, so it's my turn. With bringing in a gas station, it does help us. We don't have a property tax. We don't have a municipal tax. We have a property tax. So we do need sales tax, and this is the second one that's coming before us. And as for you're saying it was the same proposal as what it was before, it's not. Glen came in and told us what he wanted, and every time he came in, he changed it. The next thing it was, he wanted gaming. We're not going to put gaming at something besides what we have here right now. We have a strict ordinance on what we do here. As for the trucks coming up and down the street, they don't belong in there, and we are working on our ordinance to see if we can get Will County Police to do more than what they're doing right now. But at the same token, they work for our residents.
You work for us too.
Your Homer Township, Will County still does do it, but I'm worried about right now what they're doing, because if they're constantly patrolling your street, they're not patrolling our streets, and that has to do with my residents. So,
Well, hire a police department.
hey, you know what, that's really uncalled for. That's not.
No, it's not. You tell me, you might almost know why.
Mayor, you want these guys out?
I'll leave with the fixes in. Full of shit. You can't even
All right, let's go.
all the people know.
Come on.
Hit the
Let's go. Flash your phones. Come on.
Third, You're talking about the buses have been going down there for a long, long time. I do understand that it is very hilly there, and I understand your situation. But it's not our issue. Our issue is to make sure that we take care of our, Jimmy laugh all you want, it doesn't make a difference. As for the trucks, we are working on a way to find a lot more money so they do slow down. And it is Lockport's job. The truck traffic, it's a separate issue. Are trucks going to go into this gas station? Yeah, but they're going to come off of 159th Street. They're not coming up all the way to be able to go get gas there when I can get gas cheaper down further. So we do understand your issue, but we can work with you for ticketing the trucks. We can work with you if they're speeding down the streets, only in certain areas because it's not our road, it's state road, it's Lockport's road. So with that being said, if this works, if this gas station works for this village, that's what we're going to vote on. If it doesn't work, we won't. But other than that, come to us each time and pretty much telling us the same thing, and I still get a kick out of it. Every time that this is coming forward, we're going to have hookers and prostitutes all over. It's not a truck stop. It's a fueling station. They come in, they get gas, and they get diesel.
I showed you pictures.
That's not here. So,
Mayor, I have questions. I have comments too when you're done.
I'm done.
Well, just going back to some of the conditions too, where the conditions there say, the approval is conditioned upon the prohibition of idling of trucks, and the key word here is overnight. What about the idling of trucks all day long, where they stop for something to eat, to use the bathrooms? Your engineer stated that there is space for 12 trucks. And now he was talking about 12 semi-trucks. That makes extra room with those bays. It makes extra room for a lot of extra parking. So there will be idling and there will be parking no matter what they may say. So I do agree to a point that this is just going to become a nightmare and a magnet. I don't mind a gas station, but I think we're going into places that we don't know what's going to happen. And then the idling, so we're not going to do anything because the key word here is no trucks overnight and overnight parking. Trucks are going to be idling unless they're in queue. This has to be changed too if this goes through, if this gets approved. Idling has to be addressed, period. And I do have other things here, but another thing with the outdoor seating, that's going to be available 24/7. That's going to be a big loitering area if you're going to have an outdoor seating area for part of a restaurant, available all night long. And also with, Manager Freeling said that they are going to abide by the lighting ordinance. Well, up till the end of April, they were not commenting on that, so I just want to make sure. I read our report from the Cardswood, and they said, I just want to make sure they're abiding by the Kelvins and the lumens and everything. So according to them, what was proposed and submitted is that they are going according to the lighting ordinance if this gets approved. The other thing is, the big, it's almost funny when they say that there's going to be a sign on Gowder that the trucks won't turn, no right turn on Gowder. They don't abide by signs now, and they're not going to abide by an extra sign saying they can't make a right out of that station. Have we looked into just making a left turn only for everyone out of Gowder? And if people want to go north, they just can exit on 159th and go around the block. That's not going to be that difficult, because I can't imagine that many people in cars going to want to go north on Gowder. And they could just go around the corner there, which would eliminate, because that would eliminate, hopefully, a lot of extra trucks leaving there and just shooting down Gouger anyways. Not that they won't do it, but I have a few more things. Oh, and another thing here, there was a condition on, okay, in the supplement sheet. They talked about to work with the village, part of an engineering approval about a pedestrian path or a bike path on Gouger in the future. Well, that will allow the village to construct it. Well, if this is okay, you're the one developing this corner, and I don't think the village should be paying for that path. That should be your responsibility. Or at the minimum, it should be shelf-ready, which means it's leveled and where the village can come in and take that over. But at minimum, the grading and obstacles should make it so at least it's shelf-ready in the future. That's all I have for the moment.
Okay. Anyone else?
Just for clarification, I wanted to make sure the board understood that the motion's been amended to remove in consideration of any variances regarding signage. After we vote on this, what I would recommend is that you consider a motion to table the consideration of those variances for signage. Is everybody clear? Just want to make sure we're good.
Yes. Mayor, I'd just like to mention that just looking at the site plan where the trucks are going to queue up for fuel, yes, there could be several in line to be waiting for the fuel. Really, there's no other place on this piece of property for them to be without, to be parked or idling without being seen by staff of the convenience store or the interior portion of the building. And I don't think that's unusual. If you're waiting in your car at a Shell station, you're idling. If the landscaper's waiting for the end cap, he's idling. So I don't think it's that I think it's unfair to expect that those trucks who are waiting to get to the fueling are going to be idling there. Yes, they are going to be idling there. That's what we all do. Let's face it. Mr. O'Meara, I know you're a retired fireman, and there have been plenty of times when I've seen fire trucks sitting in the grocery store parking lot. They're idling. That's what these trucks do a lot. So that's the one issue. The other one is I'd really like to get to a point on the lake where we don't prostrate ourselves every time a development. We ask this all the time. No development can pass unless they hit our lighting ordinance. And yet we have to constantly put people through the ringer over this. It's not going to pass. It's not going to get built. It's not going to get approved. We don't have to continually ask those questions about whether or not they're hitting the kelvins, the spillage, the lumens, all of those items. They must comply.
And we will have they are in compliance right now with what they've done.
Right.
Carrie?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was making notes.
That's all right.
Yes, they are in compliance with our code.
Thank you.
So that should be off the table. So, abiding by it. Do we have anything else?
Like I said, I think most of the people and the residents, they don't want a gas station, the car wash, the outdoor seating. I think this issue, and it's going to even be compounding when more gets built. And we haven't even addressed pollution and spillage and what happens to detention when the spillage happens. And is there enough detention? I mean, residents are saying, I did not put enough detention in to begin with. Is there enough here? I mean, a lot of times when engineers come in and look at a property, they don't realize what Homer Glen is as far as detention and flooding issues.
Okay. Madam Clerk, I'm going to call the roll.
Trustee Reese.
I'm going to say no to the semis, no.
Trustee Varian.
Aye.
Trustee Pesmino.
Aye.
Trustee Gray.
Aye.
Trustee Holtz.
Aye.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, I think a motion will be in order to table consideration of the variances regarding signage.
So moved. Trustee Barry, trustee Rogers. No discussion on this?
I just have one comment. I don't think a sign is in this town, and if you wouldn't mind holding.
Okay.
I don't think a sign defines this town, and I don't think we should continue to make potential businesses jump through hoops to come here. Thank you.
Well, I have a comment to that too then. Well, you want your gateway sign, you want your village to look special, different and unique, not to be part of a commercial sign that looks like it's attached to it. That's what.
And to review that, I would just say that I think sometimes this town thinks way too highly of itself.
I have to say, I think very highly of this town.
Thank you, Margaret.
Okay, roll call. This is for the table.
Trustee Varian.
Aye.
Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Gray.
Aye.
Trustee Holtz.
No.
Trustee Rogers.
Aye.
Trustee Sweet.
I'm an aye. All right, next. I'm going to go to Economic Development Director, G. Beck, will discuss proposed liquor code updates, related discussions seeking direction, including possible video gaming code clarification.
So we've already had a workshop back on February 13th to go over in concept the proposal for some new liquor classification. And the purpose of that is really to present code amendments that are going to primarily address these new liquor classifications relevant to the market that would benefit both business retention and recruitment. It would help diversify Homer Glen's retail venues and also generate new retail sales tax. So that's what the purpose of all of this is. The packet that you have with you tonight is actually the code language, the proposed code language as a result of that workshop and discussion. This slide summarizes policy questions that we discussed and addressed back in February. And we did receive your direction. That's basically, in a very general sense, yes or no, or wait, listed next to each of these policy questions. So the language that we have for the code amendments to liquor classifications is responding to all of the, yes, please go ahead and show us some language. I just want to point out the very last one, amend or maintain 100-foot location restriction. The direction was to amend, other than yes, because you have to make a choice there. I do have a couple of new policy questions I'd like to go over with you tonight, though. And because we're presenting actual language, staff went ahead and wrote language for these, presuming that there may be an opportunity to bring in these new additional classifications as well. And then we do have a policy question that relates to the video gaming code, which would be separate. That's not part of your package tonight, but we're looking for direction. So the first policy question has to do with should the village create a new classification for beauty salon and spa? The background on this is that there was an ordinance that created this classification back in 2013, but there was concern later on about control of video gaming, and so there was a repeal of that ordinance. The proposal is simply to bring back that language from 2013 and to create a new Class U, which is part of your packet. And how that works is it would permit the sale of wine, sparkling wine, champagne, and beer to customers who have purchased a service of the beauty salon and spa. And the service would be limited to no more than 2 servings per customer per calendar day, and then there would also be some permitted hours stipulated for this classification. The reason we pulled this one out and it wasn't in your original package is it was part of what could have been a classification for specialty business, and that was capturing a bunch of different classifications that were quite diverse, including beauty salon and spa, including theater, which we're going to discuss next. But it could have been other specialty stores like jewelry stores and so on and so forth. And the board was not comfortable with that broad category and wanted to hold off and stay in the shallow end. And so we are proposing an overall specialty business classification. However, for beauty salon and spa and theater, we just want to pull those out and ask the board for specific direction on those 2. So that's why this is coming up tonight. So I probably just to work through it efficiently, I would just suggest if there's any discussion and direction that you'd like to provide on this one, and then we'll move to the next. And tonight also, obviously, this is a workshop. What staff's looking for is final direction, then to create an ordinance and come back. So you do have time to sit with this more, and we just wanted to see if we could have these final considerations included in the comprehensive package.
I like the Class V theater, and I think I like that, not so much that I like it, but I'm okay with it because it's really defined. Theater, there's very little wiggle room. Spa and salon, I still feel on spa and salon that it's very broad. And I think it's probably going to be a little harder to police, only because spas and salons do tend to have personnel that comes and goes pretty quickly. So that's my only concern about those. Theater, though, I think that goes kind of hand in hand. Plus, it also does recommend having food service available, and presuming that isn't just popcorn.
If I can touch on Keith's comments. So I worked with Jeannie a long time on this, probably starting back when Cam Davis suggested that we remove it from the liquor code back in 2015. 15. And so one of the reasons why I feel this is necessary is they're all doing it now. So by having classification, they then have to come in compliance, they have to provide dram shop insurance, and they have to name the village as additional insured. And then we'd be requiring the employees to do asset training. So it protects those businesses and it protects us.
When you say they're all doing it,
All the salons are doing it. They're serving alcohol for free.
how many salons do we have in town? Salons and spas, we have quite a few, right?
I have gone to some of the bigger ones, and I have not seen it.
I don't go to a salon, you probably.
Lucky you. No, I don't think we should open a can of worms right now with beauty salons and spas having liquor licenses. You know, I have not heard of anybody being that extensive with salons and spas, unless your people are walking around with their own container.
This would not be a BYO situation. Right. This would be the business is providing it as part of the service that you're paying them.
So envisioning wedding parties on the day of the wedding, all going in and getting their hair done, or a girls' day where they're all having any tennis and having a couple glasses of wine. That's kind of what was envisioned, and they are serving alcohol at the establishments now.
I'm not a fan of it either. I don't think it's needed. on their Woodbridge, they have food, then they bring you a couple drinks. They charge every single time they come out there, and they're sitting down and relaxing. And 9 times out of 10, it's not one person going, it's usually a few people going. So then it's just up to the adults who's going into the place to make sure that they act like an adult and they're lit up. They don't run. Because you can't babysit everybody. I mean, there's got to be some leniency for some of these businesses to do something, but for them to, what, they're going to be sitting under a hairdryer, sipping a glass of wine?
Yeah, they'll do it now.
Well, then let them do that where they're doing it. I don't think we need to bring that into the loop. I haven't had anyone from this village come to me and ask me if they can start serving alcohol. And I would think that, I know when my daughter got married, they brought booze in, but they brought the booze in. It wasn't the people that was supplying an area for them to have their hair. You know, a lot of people don't want it, the responsibility of it either. And then what do you do with no crowd? Who's gonna seal? There's so many things to babysit on this, that why are we gonna make another job for people who don't have enough time to do what they're doing in the first place? I don't like it. I like the theater.
I think the theater may.
I think I'm fine with the theater. I'm trying to think of the one that, I think it's in Bolingbrook, where you can like sit there and they have a waiter or something.
Well, this one did.
The one in Rivers, the Hollywood.
Isn't that the one? Yes, it is. It's a house.
The sheriff's family.
Right. Yep. And it's just kind of nice. And I only went to it one time because I didn't see.
So under the theater, it says containers for alcohol liquor must be of a different color, size, and design. What does that mean, or what is it getting at? Like, it differentiate from a color?
We were looking at other villages' codes for models, and that was probably picked up there, and it was probably to allow staff to differentiate what may be an alcoholic beverage and what may not be, and it's more about probably making sure that minors aren't getting alcohol.
Correct, you hit it on the head when you, whatever, is it to make sure it's not cold or something?
But even there, and we're all grown-ups now, but how many times do you sneak in places you don't know? I know I did it a hell of a lot of times. So, you know, we've got to understand that a lot of this is just plain common sense. So, what do you think?
I'm always looking for ways, and we've talked about these at length in the CED, and I'm always looking at trying to do it through the prism of attracting and retaining new businesses. And certainly the people that I trust that we employ that are more the experts in economic development tell us that these are what some of the leading towns are doing to attract and retain new businesses. And so from that prism, I tend to be a little bit more open than it sounds like it may be here. Whether I think someone should be drinking before their wedding or not, not for me here, right? For me, the other side of that coin is an enforcement, and that's the one that I think you have driven home pretty well over the discussions of this, is the ability for us to enforce this, and that's, I think, still maybe the biggest open question for me of whether we have that ability. At the end of the day, you are the liquor commissioner of the town, and so I defer to you on some of these things because I don't know the enforcement side or the capability to enforce as well as you do. But I try to balance that against being more open to new things that other towns are already doing, and there is a path to follow on some of these things. It's whether we're a town that decides we're going to enforce them, right? Right.
When I think about the town and the shopping center, almost every shopping center will have a liquor license now, because almost every shopping center in this town has a spa or a salon. So they have a nail salon or you can get your hair cut in almost every single shopping center. And it just seems like we don't have the ability to control that many additional revenue.
Well, and I would say to Trustee Ray's point, which I don't know either, right? But on the rare and becoming more rare occasion that I go for a haircut, it's not just, I think as we look at this, it's not just women getting their nails done, and it's not just pre-wedding. It is those types of scenarios that we may be opening the door to. And that's where I get a little uncomfortable. While I'm absolutely supportive of trying to, Jada and CD, you may have talked about it many times, of finding ways to not wait for someone to come to us, and then we've got to sit here and go, hey, what do you think? But give the tools necessary to go recruit some of the businesses that we would like to see come to this town. And I think that's what this has been an exercise in, is what are those tools that we're all comfortable enough with to give to our economic development people to go recruit the types of establishments we'd like to see in this town, as opposed to those that come and get a business application and then we're dealing with that. So that's the exercise, I think. I mean, I'm not putting words in James' mouth, but that's been the exercise through CEP. The balance, again, is enforcement, and that's one that I don't tend to have a permanent grasp on, whether we can enforce.
So I guess my concerns on that enforcement concern, that I do what you're saying. We don't really go out enforcing our current licenses now. Sheriffs do what they do, those minor citations and all that. But this is also protecting us by requiring that they be licensed and insured, and protecting us, bringing us as additional insurance. We're not going out and making sure the city person there is passed the training. The burden is on the owner. If they want to go out and get a beauty salon license and meet those criteria in order to provide that service, and who knows, they might not. There might not be anybody anymore. So touching on what you were just saying, it has that kind of door that's open to potential. And to touch on what you said, George, you were trustee in 2015 when that classification was created. I believe it was for January Salon. Did you hear that? So, I mean, it was created for a reason. And the only reason why it was taken away was because Cam wasn't granted any leave. So,
They couldn't have gotten video gaming at that time, so
right, that was why we took it out in 2015.
I'd like to also add that, Trustee Bury has a great point in that give you the tools in bringing in what we would like to see. And, I'm not anti-salon, I'm not anti-haircut, don't get me wrong on this, but we are a town that exists on sales tax, and service does not collect sales tax. So what we're going to do is make more of a burden and more of a hurdle for us to enforce, keep track of, do the manual thing over, for no benefit really, other than, it's going to help that salon. Again, I want salons here, but I want you to hear me loud and clear. I would like a theater. I love a theater. And so, that I absolutely agree it is a tool and it should reflect what we want to bring here. And while, like I said, I'm not saying I do not want a salon in this town, I want us to use the tools to attract the things that will help us in the long run, that will benefit us, that will bring us revenue. I mean, salons have their place, don't get me wrong. That stabilizes our community. You can get those services here. But we have enough salons and honeycuts. Honeycuts just opened. I mean, obviously, we are attracted to these services beyond whether or not you can get a drink or not. So, again, I'm not arguing that point, but it is, I would like you to hear my voice loud and clear when I say I like this idea for a theater. That's because I'd like to get a theater. I'd like to get a Hollywood theater.
I would like to get a theater too. John Sawyers, does the village get a share of sales tax or liquor tax on the sale level?
Yes, that's a retail sale, subject to sales tax and local sales tax.
Right, but if they generate enough alcohol sales at a salon, they're no longer a salon.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, there is revenue here. It's a small amount of revenue here. There's also revenue from the license fee.
Here's the downside to some of this. And I understand what Trustee Berry is saying, walk the walk for what we want. So now what happens if we get a few of these places? Let's say a tattoo parlor wants to come in. Do you want a tattoo parlor? Because guess what? As soon as he comes in or she comes in, they're going to want the same thing. Here's what I try to understand is when the liquor store, when the gaming started, we didn't want it going everywhere. We don't need it everywhere. And like Trustee Gray just said, if a salon is buying enough alcohol to make us money, there's a problem, because they're not a salon anymore. Then they're just selling the alcohol. You know, if someone wants to bring something in, they're going to bring it in. I don't know if it's such a good idea for us to push it out when, and my biggest thing the whole time is like Trustee Berry said a few minutes ago. I don't want our Will County Police having to babysit a bunch of that. You don't know what's going to happen. Not anymore. The world's changing. And it's not just alcohol. They just legalized marijuana. We're going to say that, here, go inside. You don't have to worry about not smoking a cigarette. Go in and smoke a joint. So there's a lot of things that are coming in, and I don't know if I'm ready to open up the door for it. You know what, I'd almost like someone else to open up that door, let's see how it works out. Because you're not going to make any money, you're going to have headaches. And you know, I worked in bars for years, there's headaches. It doesn't mean that they're not going to get lit in your place. They could have got lit in his place, and now they go to this place, and they have a couple more, and a couple more puts them over the edge. I think that we're trying to accommodate too much. When someone comes to this place and says, I like it, and I understand what you're saying, you don't want to be dancing around trying to figure out what to do at that point. But what's the benefit? I mean, if someone's cutting someone's hair and they get lit, then they move, something gets cut, whose fault? What's there? You just give me the alcohol. You cut too much of my hair off. There could be a million things that will open up. I don't think we should be opening up Pandora's box.
Agreed. Just to clarify, when I'm saying this exercise as a tool to recruit, I didn't mean just specifically salon. I meant the whole exercise of looking at our liquor classifications and going through this entire exercise, not that one specific.
Because the one thing that we don't have in this village, and hopefully we never do, is a bar. We don't have a bar. We have restaurants. We can serve alcohol. I think that's good. You know, you've got some around here that you see problems with, and I'd sit down with the police department and ask the police department, how do they feel about this? Because that's when you put in harm's way, or taking him away from a job that he's supposed to be doing here.
Mayor, I know I'm clerk and I'm not allowed to speak, but since I've become clerk, I can kind of assist Janie on a few things, and so if I can just state a few things.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Janie, for all the hard work you've been putting into this. First of all, she's been working her butt off, investigating all the stuff and giving all the information for you guys, and she has studied the role and done so much work, so just want to thank you for that personally. And then you had mentioned the salon selling alcohol. I just would like clarification. It's not a exchange for per glass, it's included with the service. So if they're here at $65, they get a glass of wine. It's not an additional purchase, just for clarification. So I don't believe there would be a sales tax that would be included with that, just for clarification, because it's not
Yeah, I'd like clarification too.
It's not a per glass sale, it's included with the service. So like when I'm sitting in the salon for 7 hours, I'm limited to one glass, just for clarification. The other thing with tattoos, to get a tattoo, you're not actually allowed to consume alcohol prior to. However, I believe it is a different license as well. And then I know you were concerned about who would be policing this, so to say. You are allowed to appoint a deputy liquor commissioner as well if you were interested in that. Just for clarification and just for some police.
I think that this board right now works harder than any other board I've ever seen in any other village or city. Am I going to dump something back on that? No, I'm not going to do that. And I don't want to do it either. Jay, and pretty much like Christine just got done saying, we do appreciate you, everything you're doing, but let's not go so broad with everything right now. Let's find out things that are a little bit better to where it's going to benefit the owner of the business, it's going to enter, and it's going to make it better for the village.
So the language under you does say the retail sales, I think that's why I was confused. But if we want to take that out and not move forward with it, because that seems to be what the current consensus is.
So if you give away those 2 drinks with your $65 haircut, by the way, was that a lifetime supply of haircuts? I mean,
It's more than $65.
so a haircut for $65 that comes with 2 drinks is not going to be $100.
Right, that's what we're just.
I'm saying the language of here.
I'm saying every salon is a different policy where I go, and as long as I'm there, I get one drink.
They can do a limit of 2.
There's consensus for theater?
It sounds like there's a consensus to not do the salon and spa classification, but to do the theater classification.
Now we just gotta find a theater. Blackboard's putting up one, Glen's
This'll help.
putting up another one.
Okay, may we move on? Okay. So this was related to a question that came up at the February workshop, and I did not record in my notes that there was actually a decision, a direction from this. So I thought best to just bring it back up. And the question basically is, should the village prohibit liquor sales from a drive-in or drive-through establishment associated with a permitted use? So say you have a liquor store and they want to build a drive-in window or drive-through window and do liquor sales. Does the village have a policy about that? Would you allow that, or do you want to prohibit that? At the moment, the package of amendments that you have includes an addition to the section that deals with premise restrictions, and the language there is liquor sales are prohibited from a drive-in or drive-through establishment associated with a permitted use. It's a question of whether you want to address this, and if you want to prohibit it or allow it.
In my opinion, I think we should, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
I said, in my opinion, I think we should continue to prohibit drive-through and drive-in. I mean, a few years back, we didn't want drive-in or drive-through for cigarette sales. So this is even worse.
Or food sales.
So I think I remember when we had this discussion last time around, I think it was a rainy night and it was late too. But I remember bringing this, one of the points that I thought about was thinking specifically of like a place like Nick's Barbecue. They have a drive-through, they serve packaged beer and packaged wine. So, and I think I had asked at the time, are there any restrictions in our restaurant code that prohibit them from passing a beer or a glass of wine, container of wine out the drive-through window?
Yeah, I believe it says for on-premises consumption.
Okay, so. Okay. But would that fall under this, if we said we were all in agreement right now for drive-in and drive-through, should the village prohibit liquor sales from a drive-in or drive-through establishment? It doesn't say from the window, it says from the establishment with a permitted use. So that would fall, Nick's Barbecue would fall into that classification. They have a drive-through, it's a permitted establishment. So we would say, if we all agreed with this right now, they would lose their liquor license.
Aaron, maybe you can help me with language, but what the intent of this is the passing of liquor through the window to a customer that would then drive away with it.
Right, but to Trustee Holtz's point, we already have that provision.
They've got the liquor license.
We're saying the establishment.
But it's for on-premises consumption, so the minute that they're handling it out.
But they have a drive-through.
Yeah, I know.
You're shifting, what you're saying. Exactly. You're making the argument or actually asking the question is, if this building has a drive-through establishment, they can't have a liquor license. And that's not what this is supposed to, that's not the intent of this. What it's simply saying is, you're prohibited from selling liquor through a drive-through if you have it.
Right, and that I think is what I remember wanting it to say months ago. I did not want to, retract Nick's liquor license or any other establishment. It is an existing establishment with a liquor license. So I've written in here, to see, I wrote my notes, says no, but tighten up the language. So I think that's what I have been asking for months ago too, was a tightening up of that language to make sure that it's written in there. You're not handing stuff out through the drive-through window.
And if we just remove the word establishment from that sentence, does that clarify it?
That probably should, and that would make sense.
So liquor sales are prohibited from a drive-in or drive-through associated with a permitted use.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
Wordsmithing gets important sometimes. Okay. All right, so that's, I think, done almost, but this is the last policy question. And then I'll just go over a few more items and then ask for your general comments about the package of amendments that you have. It seems that there could be a loophole that we need to deal with, and also a situation where you may or may not want to allow the situation to happen. So the question is, should the village permit video gaming in a restaurant which is eligible for gaming when that restaurant is located within another facility? And we have to think broadly about this. It could be a restaurant, an eligible restaurant inside a hotel, inside a sports recreational facility, inside a theater, inside a gas station. We already have video gaming prohibited from an automobile service station, aka gas station, but it doesn't specifically address this situation if you have a restaurant that is fully cooking and preparing meals on site in a sanitary kitchen, abiding by the village's fire suppression requirements and building code requirements, that is at least 1,500 square feet. That's what you need to have video gaming. Now, put that restaurant inside one of these other uses, and it would be the restaurant coming for the liquor license, this is not the theater license that we're talking about. This is not the recreational facility license we're talking about. This is a restaurant inside. So we do have an example where we may get, and we had one at one point, it just lapsed, but the Cork and Kerry that is working on opening in the Megaplex had always said, we want liquor and video gaming, and we're going to be big enough, and we're going to fully cook and prepare meals on site. So there's an example of that. If we prohibit any kind of restaurant that's eligible for video gaming that's in another facility, you would also be, saying no to Cork and Kerry. So I just want to put that on the ground as a solid example. And then I'd already mentioned the possible loophole with not specifically addressing the situation of a restaurant that's eligible in a gas station facility. So just want to ask for the board's direction on this, and then we can come back with language and ordinance for consideration, but this would be amending the video gaming control code, not the liquor side of it.
Legally, permit it at the gas station, but like leave it open further?
Correct, we would just write in an exclusion that it doesn't apply for restaurants located within gas stations.
That was my comment too. Can we pick certain things like, okay for sports facility, a hotel, or a theater, but nothing else?
Correct.
Can't we just change our prohibition on gas stations? We already have a prohibition on gas stations having gaming. Can't we just modify the language within that to say, even if they have a restaurant within? That doesn't touch this. That only affects that.
Yeah, that can work too. It's a good suggestion.
This is a loophole, I think, I see it in lots of suburbs where you drive past a gas station that has all of the video gaming signs everywhere, and they don't have a diesel island, and they definitely aren't on 3 acres. And I think this is the loophole that they're exploiting, is this specifically is a restaurant within the gas station. So I do think this is an important cleanup, because that's happening, because as these started, when we first had this conversation 2 years ago, if the rules were kind of clear, diesel island, 3 acres, blah, 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 essentially a truck stop. I see them in lots of towns right now that are in gas stations that don't meet any of that criteria. This has got to be it.
Yeah, it is.
I'd like to ask one more question too. In my notes I had written, I think at first I was being a little bit naive to think that maybe we could keep it away from the entrances. If you were in a place like the Sportsplex, which is primarily sports, we think of Sportsplexes as being primarily kids. So the first thing I was being naive with myself and thinking if we could keep it away from the entrance that adjoins into the Sportsplex. But kids are, let's face it, you're going to pick up food at any of the establishments, Nick's, like I just mentioned, anywhere else. The kids are exposed to this anyhow. So I think I've gotten myself over that one. But I would like to ask about the signage. I think we've mentioned this before. What are our signage regulations on gaming? I know that there are certain percentages, I think it is, of how much signage they can have in their windows. And I wouldn't necessarily want to see that within another thing. You know, I don't like, to Brian's point, when you see some of these places, it looks like Slot City. You know, you can almost forget what the primary business is there because they're advertising the slots. And you'd never think that was only for 5 games. I mean, we all know that they're limited to a maximum of 5 games. Sometimes they put so much effort into that you lose the primary business. And I wouldn't necessarily want to see that within the sportsplex or a hotel or something, or a theater. So while I'm okay with if we clean up the gas station portion of it, is there a way we can look at the signage portion of it?
Well, don't we right now, we've already put in elimination of gaming and any gas station. Right, so we should be covered there, even if they put a restaurant in there.
No, you want to make sure that, you want to clarify.
Well, yeah, I understand, but I mean, right now, they can't have it just because of being in a gas station, so we didn't say anything else, so if it's a gas station, we're not allowing it, but if we could tighten it up a little bit better.
If I remember correctly, and BJ, maybe, even Joe Baker as an enforcement issue, if the sign is on the inside of their window, there's really not any way to do it.
They can cover more than 30% of the window area.
30%, yeah.
In total, right, but we don't control content, so that 30% could be all gaming, even though they sell hot dogs and hamburgers, right? Which is more times the case than not, unfortunately.
We have used that in enforcement situations when the whole window is covered. Okay, so then it sounds like we could write an exclusion just for the gas station situation on this one? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so this was another discussion that happened at the February workshop, and it was, I guess the board was asking, could there be some sort of BYO-friendly sign that's in the window of a BYO licensed establishment? I'm not so sure that it actually would monitor them, because the monitoring them is that they have a license and that there's proof that they have insurance and they're supposed to have their BASSET training done. And, there are problems and follow-up if there's any deviations in serving minors, etc. And we do that through Will County sheriffs on kind of a policing schedule. So the question would be, if the board would like to do some sort of signage, we can probably design like a window sticker or a window cling that would just say this is a BYO establishment. But we're going to know whether they're licensed or not. So in terms of monitoring them, I don't really think that's the purpose of it. If there's any further discussion about that or direction for staff, we'd be happy to hear it.
I don't know, I've been to a few BYOBs and they haven't had signs in the window or on the door. I don't think it's something you have to advertise. Word of mouth usually does it. I don't think that's a good idea.
But wouldn't that fall back on the village if, God forbid, something happened?
Well, actually, when you have the regulations, then you have a pathway to enforcement. They are supposed to be, they're supposed to have their insurance, they're supposed to have their BASSET training, they're not supposed to be serving minors, et cetera, or over-serving. So if there are incidences with regulations on the books, it gives the village the pathway to follow up and do something about that.
So they would
have the business be the supervisor, they'd open it, they'd close it, they'd bag it up if at the end of the night they haven't finished it, because you can't carry over liquor, so it has to be sealed when it leaves. They do all that? That falls under the BYO?
Yeah, if you bring in a bottle of wine, there is a state regulations about how you're supposed to properly seal an unconsumed portion of a bottle of wine to be taken out.
And they're supposed to monitor on how much alcohol this person has drank?
They're supposed to actually uncork and serve.
I hate to be doom and gloom,
but how many times, even on airplanes, they take the plastic bottles of booze on the plane and they mix it in, and there's nobody watching them because they don't know what they're doing. So I mean, you still could, the whole thing is, it goes back to babysitting. If you bring your own booze in, and again, I don't think anyone hasn't taken a little bottle of alcohol. So
Mayor, it sounds like someone needs to follow you.
I wasn't an angel when I was growing up, but I'm just looking at it for, now I'm looking at it, it doesn't just fall upon the person who's doing it, it also falls upon this village. Like I said, I'm not trying to be the person that's trying to blow this up. If you think that this can work, what I would like to do first is sit down and look at these and make sure that they're comfortable with what we're doing. What do you think, Jim?
Whatever you need.
Well, I think BYO is done everywhere, and I think there's state laws in place already and plenty of regulations, and it's been tested in many a town. And I'm on the fence in terms of a window decal. Take it or leave it. You know, if they do apply with us and get officially licensed with us and provide us with the certificate of insurance and all that, we can in turn give them a little sticker to put in their window that says BYO, Village of Homer Glen, so that shows that they are licensed with us. You know, somebody that's not licensed with us and is doing BYO, and we'll get rid of that. But I think we should keep BYO as an option because, you know, the board talked about that at length in February, and the consensus was to move forward with it. And I think it opens a lot of opportunity for businesses, and then it goes back to businesses and firms in town that have private invite-only parties, and they are serving alcohol. And this, once again, will protect them and protect the village.
So you want to, if someone's having a party, they're not going to be licensed?
And for clarification on the sticker, I think it was for the police to know that they were BYOB instead of, you know, advertising, hey, you know, bring your own beer. I think it was for us to know who was that.
Right, I don't think the question, Jeannie, correct me if I'm wrong, this has nothing to do with whether or not we want to rescind the whole BYOB discussion. This is, we had said, you know, when they come in and they get licensed, they get a window cling that goes on there so that when, you know, like if Jim's guys are out and there's an event, it's not more like, hey, going in, you can see, they know that they got that sticker. The only thing is, some of these BYOBs are only per event. So, you know, when my sister had an event, she got the dram for just that event. So then if you get a sticker, then you get the sticker. So I kind of think, you know, backtracking from where we were, the stickers don't really mean anything.
Well, they'd have to get a license for the year, which is going to cost them money.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to.
You have a physical license to put on your, in the restaurant as well, just like
You'd be required to display that, right? I like the idea of having some sort of notification up front so that people going in, I mean, it's great that the sheriff might know on their way in or somebody else, but me as another patron, when I look at somebody pulling a bottle out of their bag, and I'm looking over there going, what are they doing over there? You know, that gives me the notification going in that this is that type of establishment that somebody's, you know, can pull out and drink like that. But I think it also gives us control of that. Getting back to my point about the gaming, I'd like to do that and only that. I don't want to see a window that's slashed with, you know, a 6x9 banner that says, you know, get loaded here, bring your own, here we go. You know, I mean, it's just, it's more of a control point too, so.
Well, according to the Class O license, the way it's put in our packet on page 15, it does say no more than one 750 ml bottle of wine per patron. Oh, per patron. Oh, and no more than 36 ounces of beer per patron. So that's quite a bit.
That's 3 beers, and it's 1 bottle of wine is roughly 2 to 3 glasses.
Depending on how big your glasses are.
One big dog.
Oh, I just want to point out two things on the Class O BYO, which is on page, it's 14 and 15, but this is on page 15 of the red line version. But in any case, in talking with Trustee Holtz a little bit earlier, would make a slight adjustment on one of the provisions, which is under 2F, as in Frank, that it would just read, BYO licensees shall post signage approved by the liquor commissioner. That's what we're talking about right now. And actually delete the remaining phrase of that current language, which is signage reflecting Bassett training and insurance, because Trustee Holtz was pointing out, every single person that serves has to have Bassett training, so that, what do you mean by this? So we would just have it read, BYO licensees shall post signage approved by the liquor commissioner. That's what I'm asking you about right now, if you want to keep that in or not. But we would go ahead and remove that last phrase. And then, let's see here, one other piece of it was, on 2K, it specifically says a BYO licensee shall not advertise or otherwise hold their business out to be a drinking establishment. So they can't put it on social media and that sort of thing. So just to point that out, because that was relevant to what you were just talking about.
But Director Patrick, a comment. Okay, so you're saying on F to reflecting Bassett training and insurance, to thinking of taking that out?
Well, it doesn't remove the requirement that they have that. It's just in regards to this window cling or sticker that we're talking about, or decal.
But they still have to, they still have to put the license up.
They absolutely have to post their liquor license, and everybody still has to have Bassett training, and they must have brand insurance.
So why wouldn't you say that why wouldn't you say, I thought like establishments have to put up a sign that they have Bassett training, because like C says, the BYO establishment basically does everything, control consumption or...
Right. Well, I mean, the decal could say something, we're BYO friendly and we're Bassett trained.
Something.
Well, it's state law. Anyone that serves
state law.
alcohol has to be Bassett trained. And a Bassett certification is 8 by 11, so it would require everyone in the establishment, whatever establishment it would be. I mean, you could be taking up potentially a huge section of the wall. They have to keep it on file in the premises. We're not suggesting take it out, not require it. Obviously, they need to have it. It just doesn't need to have a sign on the wall saying we're Bassett certified. That's the law everywhere.
And then if you have a BYO, you can't gamble at all.
No.
Correct.
I did have one comment on the BYO classification. I noticed you had the fee as $500 per house. I think that's too high. I think for a restaurant, that's reasonable, but for like a private business, insurance agency, we might have 2 or 3 events a year, or some kind of independent business broker in town that might have a private event a few times a year. I think that's cost prohibitive for them, and the idea is to encourage compliance. To make sure everyone's protected, not to make it as a profit revenue source. I would think $200, $300 would be more appropriate.
I thought on the BYOB, we're talking about establishments. We're not talking about straight, just one-off things. Well, then maybe we need 2 fees then.
Well, we're not saying one-off. I'm saying, for example, I know from experience when we were working on this whole development of this ordinance change, that there are several businesses in town that will have 2 or 3, 4 even private events a year, quarterly or whatnot, and they were serving alcohol, and they were advertising it on Facebook and saying, come have free drinks and mingle and network, and that was kind of where this sort of all...
This doesn't say anything about a state farm office or anything like that, so...
Well, that's what we
I
discussed.
see restaurants, meal preparation service stores, crafts making stores, other retail stores.
That's what we had originally discussed, like maybe that too. But I mean, there's banks, there's insurance agencies, there are lots of places in town that are doing it, and that was kind of what we discussed, is having them have the opportunity.
We do have special promotional permits, which is already in the liquor code as a, for those one-off kind of events. It depends on what the entity is, which license is appropriate for them. but there's the special events category, there's the temporary license. There are some of these other categories that are already in our
Right,
code.
but the language in those are specific to like a picnic or a community event or something
Yeah.
greater than the community. This was specific to, this business is wanting to have an event in their facility and network with people within their, help me up, we were invited to a couple that we didn't go to. One was at Countryside Bank, one was at
Sherry Law.
Sherry Lodge and Perfect. There have been a few.
But then that technically wouldn't come under a BYOB, because they're serving it, you're not bringing it in yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Maybe it's not BYOB,
Maybe
it
it's
would
not
have to
BYOB.
be addressed during the special permitting if there's a
Maybe,
permit.
yeah, you're right, maybe it's not that category that's
Right.
combined.
The type of,
That's what I think you're talking about.
Maybe.
the type of businesses I was thinking of, besides like, salon and spa and theater we've already talked about, would be something like a paint and sip studio. That's a great magnet, a good traffic generator. It's in the entertainment category, and it operates off that BYO model.
Okay, I apologize, I stand corrected and I retract what I said. Thank you.
Okay, so window sticker or no?
It sounded like no.
Sounded like no? Okay. All right. This was just to respond to the question that was brought up also at the February workshop, and because of content neutral requirements, you cannot say no distilled spirit advertising on windows. So, and then this is just trying to summarize the changes in the format that you're familiar with. So additions are in blue, deletions and strike-throughs are the deletions, and we had a couple of reserved categories that we're assigning to these new liquor classifications. And the other purpose of this spreadsheet is also just to show you the structure of the fees. So in coming up with this, we did a comparative survey of our comparable communities and tried to average their fees for the closest match of category to what we were presenting. Take a look and see, are we out of the ballpark? Are we competitive? How does this lay out? Actually, with the exception of the A and B licenses, we matched the other communities pretty well, and I think we're good with that. The structure that we have here is when it's full alcoholic liquor, the fee is higher. When it's beer and wine, it's a little bit lower. So rather than just recreating the wheel, I went through the averages, made that comparison, and suggesting, and this was also with some input from staff, we all worked together on this, to come up with a structure that maintains primarily what we already have as a fee structure and adds these new licenses in depending on whether or not they are full alcoholic liquor or beer and wine only, and then there are obviously the special categories. So the one comment that Trustee Holtz already had was we will not have the beauty salon and spa category, so that will be taken out. But it would be on the BYO at 500.
I'm fine with that. I was thinking about that other establishment type situation.
Oh, okay, all right. So basically it's multiples of 500.
So tell me, why is it 500 for bring your own and 750 for the smoking lounge? I thought the smoking lounge was a category up, bring your own.
Well, it's still a bring your own for the smoking lounge, but it's full alcoholic liquor.
Oh, so you can bring distilled spirits in.
Yes. And store them on site.
So you said that when you reviewed this, we were competitive with the other surrounding neighborhoods with the exception of A and B.
Mhm.
What is that exception?
So the average for all of our 10 communities, our 9 communities is for the A license, the restaurant and service bar, is about $1,600 to $1,700 as opposed to our 2,000. That was the greatest variation that I saw in the fee structure. In the B license, the restaurant and bar, it was about $1,200 as opposed to our 2,000. So we can tinker with this and try to restructure it to make that a little bit more competitive for those two. But I was trying to use a rationale that made sense as you go through. Is it full alcohol? Is it beer and wine? Is it, kind of a special situation like a catering or a club? And should have a special fee and then have some sort of rationale to the assignment of the fees.
When you looked at those other communities, did they offer gaming? Did they all offer gaming, or were there any that didn't?
We were not considering gaming in this. This is strictly liquor.
But you need this license to get a gaming license. And so those, to compare to a
We didn't go to that level of analysis. Yeah, we strictly looked at their liquor codes.
I'm just wondering if maybe it's something to discuss, why we are higher than these other towns on those two. I mean, restaurants and bars are something that I think, speak for myself, we encourage and want to see, them come and succeed, and it is a very competitive business. So I'm just curious why we're so much higher than other towns.
Well, I don't think a few $100 makes that much of a difference, 16 of 2,000 over a year.
Property tax.
Pardon?
We also don't have the municipal property tax.
That's
It's
right.
built into the cost of doing business either.
But the majority of them are probably tenants paying
Which is
triple
built
numbers.
into the cost of doing business, those are concerns.
Can I ask Director Catch a question? Up on top there, where it says minimum space size 1,200 square feet. Now that is for a restaurant with service bar, but it's 1,500, correct, if they wanted to do gaming?
Correct.
Okay, just want to verify. And then just going back to the BYOB, where you said, where smoking lounge, where it was at $750, but according to page 15 on the BYOB license, it says BYOB licensees are prohibited from storing alcohol liquor on their premises.
But then there's a separate classification for the smoking.
Under what?
T.
Oh, under T, then, C.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we should allow that.
If we should allow them to
The
store.
storage of,
But this is, the one smoking lounge in town that I'm familiar with, or maybe more, I'm not familiar with them, but the one I am familiar with, they do have those lockers on site where you can store your
You do.
smoking paraphernalia.
And
So I'm
anything
assuming that
else.
means just keep it in that locker or that storage.
recreational. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Let's give it to you.
I had one question, Jean.
Yes.
On page 27. Number 6 and 7, the blue letter.
Yes.
I was just wondering what the source for that language was.
Erin, can you respond to that?
Because I thought you had become one.
To serve?
To bartend. Or mixed alcohol bartend?
Thank you. My daughter's been doing it for years at college.
I was always concerned. That's why I was.
So then on the fees, would you like staff to take another look at the A and B classifications and?
I mean, I think we're just taking them off D, right? You?
Yes, we're eliminating you, and right now I'm just asking about the fee structure. Do you want us to do anything different than what is proposed here? Noting
the pure communities that have an average lower.
yes, just for those two
I
categories.
think Brian's points are valid, as well as the fact that you don't know if some of those other communities have or don't have gaming, which, again, this is a path to having a gaming license, which creates more opportunities for more profits for these businesses. And the other thing I know was like a year or so ago, we had an establishment in town that had a full liquor license, and, you know, they did their own business inventory, and they realized, hey, you know what, I'm not selling anything still. I think it was just for margaritas or something at that time, and they were like, it's not worth the extra bump to pay that, so they dropped down to that next category, I think it was, right. So they dropped down to just beer and wine, and so they could make that case that, you know what, I'm not selling this, I might as well just get this lower liquor license and stick with what I know. But I think that the higher amounts for these other ones, there's higher profit ones too for these businesses potentially, you know, and higher and other pathways for them to make different money. So.
Plus, what Brian had said, we have one municipal tax office, so they're saving a lot more than what we consider.
So then there's general comfort with this proposed fee structure? Okay.
Again, I just want to thank you for all the research and time and effort you've put into this over the last couple of years.
And your patience.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Definitely. My pleasure.
Go ahead and drink now.
I think we're done. Unless there was any questions about anything else that was in this package, all the other classifications that we talked about in February, and we kind of covered some additional ground on that tonight. But if there's anything else staff should pay attention to. If not, then we have our direction to prepare the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you. Well done. I think we got a lot of time. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? Do we want to put off the executive session?
Again.
But I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?